the OB instead of.
They don't think we drink water, right? A lot of people in the chat.
A lot of water,
yeah,
man.
that's why. That's all. Literally all I drink. A lot of people in the chat are. Some people's wives are concerned that we're not hydrated enough. So I said that we stay hydration.
We very much do. Hydration nation.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shakib in the chat. I don't know if Shakib is there.
But, he's like, you guys talk all day. He said, my wife says we talk all day, and then we don't drink enough water. So yes, ma'am. Sorry, we will continue to drink our water. We apologize.
All right, guys. Joseph and I will be back. Same bat time, same bat channel. See everybody.
Welcome, everybody. Yes, I literally was drinking water. As like I said, and I'm hearing myself.
Why does this bull keep on falling over?
What did you?
This bull keeps on falling over.
Well, because the bull's tired today, and the bull's not putting in that
We're
work.
double bulling.
Well, it's first of all, the idiot that was like, remember we should probably have changed it by then to a bull. Well, whoever that was jinxed the S&P, and the S&P has been trending down, but it's trying to break that trend. The Nasdaq's looking pretty good. I've traded ETH for the very first time today.
Let's go.
I have
clean.
No, I won't use that phrase. I have okay, well, I don't know another phrase than the one I was going to say, so you guys probably understand what I was going to say, and now I've made you say it in your head, so I might as well have said it.
Nice.
That makes sense. Which is, okay, you know what? You know who, I'm just going to digress for a second. It was Samuel L. Jackson was the first person to make that gag. When basically, because he essentially, when you say something like the blank word, and F, whatever it might be, all you are really doing is you're making the other person say it in their head.
Yeah.
So really, you should just either say it or don't say it. Either don't say it all, but don't say the whatever word, because it's the same effect.
Yeah.
Like if we have brains, we can think it's the same thing. Anyways, I've traded you for the first time.
So you reminded me of something. So Lil Wayne recently released a new track or album. In one of his tracks, the first bar is literally that. Like he says a bar, and the last word of that bar, you know it's coming. He doesn't even say it, and the line, the bar itself has something to do with putting thoughts in your head.
Yeah, which it's effective. So I think the thoughts we need to put in everybody's head, not everybody, the algo's heads, is to buy. Because what is going on? Like we were in euphoria, we're gonna get China deal and blah, blah, blah. The bank earnings were good, and NVIDIA's up a bajillion % because of, because Jensen's gonna be able to sell them the little H20 that's not as good, and that was supposed to be great for everything, but we've just been trending down on the ES. The Nasdaq, however, as I do this in like probably the most convoluted way possible, show you guys the black charts. The Nasdaq is breaking trend line as we speak. I like that. SMCI is going, I don't know what to tell you, SMCI has just been a little bit better than NVIDIA. Like NVIDIA's up 4%, SMCI is up 8% right now. So which one would you rather be in? The one that is going or the one that's doing almost nothing? So SMCI, it's back at that high. If it breaks this trend line, I should probably jump out off the high of the day there on SMCI. But yeah, like there's certainly some things that are better than others. No questions asked. And I'll make sure I am in the right chat, right? We'll get into all the names that you guys want us to look at. I see people already throwing symbols out there that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Like I haven't looked at. I know JOBY's moving, but Unity today, UNH. Those are two I have absolutely not even taken any kind of a gander at. I know JOBY's going. That one I knew was making a run. But you guys were already throwing in the symbols. I'm sure we'll get to all of them once Sharif is ready, locked and loaded and ready to go. NP's on my mind, but that's not doing anything this afternoon. It's a bit weird. And this ETHA, for the first time trading it, it's not bad. Nice. It's moving okay. It just find it's like it's bursty. It bursts more than.
Yes. That's why as soon as I looked at the chart, I'm just like, because that's how kind of crypto kind of moves, right? Yeah, it's just very like.
It's like you just kind of go.
Technically nice.
A little rangy, and then you kind of burst up, and then you burst up. It's.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like technically, it's okay because like that move is working. But what I've realized from that is instead of sort of punching in on the momentum up, like you're probably better off. Like I could have just got in once and then maybe just sat on the bid here and got a couple, just get a couple cents better on the fill instead of just punching in as it's breaking out. Because when it does that little jiggle, you could just be getting a better price overall. I took some out Here, let me just put this up here and do this. I'm doing this for myself as well. So it broke, but we just lost this prior bar, which means at a bare minimum, I should be executing some out there, and then I'll hold the rest for like just underneath break even. That'll be the plan of action. I want to give this room to go. I don't want to trail it all out because I want to see what it can do. I've also never really, this is the first time I've traded. I've traded IBIT before, but I've never traded ETH. And ETH making a very good move today. But I'd say disappointment overall in the market because it's been trending down.
Yeah, I mean, disappointed in the market. Yes, there's definitely moves that have happened in the morning session, but it's been pretty calm midday to coming into the end of the day here as well. We've had odd moves here and there, but I'm talking about stuff that's a little bit more closer related to the futures. You can see the Nasdaq pretty much sideways, trading within range. We've been chopping between this 23,100 to 23,200. It's been a 100-point range right there. SPY a little bit more directional as it makes clear highs, lower lows and lower highs, and the structure is holding in stair step almost. So I like that a little bit more on the ES as well. But yeah, no, I was looking at Apple. Apple, again, there was a bit of a bid that came in, pretty aggressive. I'm surprised that held VWAP so well. I did get involved during the midday session, but I didn't really hold on to this short. That ended up being a nice little pivot point for a reversion back down into VWAP. And now guess what? We are reverting that reversion. So without any further ado, I see that Sharif is ready for us. So let's see what you guys have been talking about in the rundown. Take it away, Sharif.
You got to get him when he dances like that. You got to just throw the camera on him. Do not. Even though Obi is talking, Andre, I know you're a super, but you just got to get him. Because Sharif would, or you could just do that again, Sharif. Let's go over to Sharif.
Let's go.
Welcome, everyone, to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. The big boys are locked and they're loaded, and they're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. But the only way to get those tickers up there is to join Joseph and I on the midday show and get into that chat and vote for your favorite ticker every day. Super easy, $, and your 3, 4, or 5-letter ticker. It is really that simple. Here's a look at all 4 major averages, and they're all red for the exception of the NQ, which is actually up 0.2% thanks to the Mag 7. Strong day for them. But you've got the Russell 2000, which has been an outperformer as of late, down substantially today. The worst of the 4 major averages, down 1.2. The ES essentially flat, down 0.02. And the Dow taking it on the chin as well, guys, down 0.75%. Here's the first name as decided by you, MP. That's a 15-minute chart on MP as they strike a $500 million deal with Apple for rare earth magnets, guys. It's a good move here by both companies to secure the supply chain and make sure Donald Trump knows that they're getting that stuff locally.
Yeah, so MP was it was a disappointment for myself. Look, it never did the dip into the prior highs, which is fair. That's fine. That trade doesn't happen. You don't take it. It then did the breakout, and I explained during the lesson of the day, one of the things that that you should always do is allow the stock to be itself. Like when it's breaking a consolidation, the move big. When it's inside the range, the breakout's small. So yesterday, the breakout was one step, wait for the pullback. So what do I do? Today, I just do what I think was the same thing that worked yesterday. Just break out one step and wait for the pullback. Instead, it did more like what it did when it broke out the range. That was a disappointing trade on a bit of a... Seriously?
What's happening?
Anyways, that fly just landed on my lap like it wanted to die. Anyway,
Neil woke up and chose violence today.
No, but you didn't see, you guys saw that.
I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I saw it land.
Yeah. Whatever. If that's how you want to go out, that's how you want to go out. I mean, to each their own. Like, it doesn't make a difference. Straight of thought. Yeah, so anyways, it should have been a bigger hole. Obviously, that's true. But let's get on to what's going on right now, which is it breaking a nice downward trend. Why am I out on my drawing tool? Breaking a nice downward trend on the 15-minute very cleanly. So it's going to close this bar looking green again. I was waiting for VWAP, which I'll show on a 3-minute in a second, but it's breaking trend. And see that trend line here? Hey, missing data again. So it's easily, you got a trend break. I don't think we get to the volume weighted average price. I'll look for a pullback into the trend line at about $60 and try the continuation to the long side. On the other side, this news wasn't, to me, it's not Apple news. It was MP news, and we'll look to buy the dip there. I do not want any part of shorting Apple unless it, like I did a trend break, and I think it would need to do something a little bit more distinct into the high again to set it up. But the other side of MP is don't sleep on the metals company, which a lot of you have been pointing out. This is also going. TMC powering up, MP having a good day, TMC very close to an $8 breakout. It's just a few shekels above, a few cents above the $8 level here. You got a break on TMC. I'll be trading MP, but I'm going to keep this one on the side chart. See if it gets a run into that $8 level. Can't really find that on the 15-minute, but you can see it on the daily, everybody. Yeah, these, look, you know I like MP in the long term. I missed the opportunity to get it in the 30s. I think it's got plenty of squeeze potential, plenty.
Yeah, the chart kind of definitely starting to speak for itself as we stair step back to back. And good news from Apple and I guess people in the government just being like, all right, we're going to start pushing these I guess incentive towards these guys making definitely a lot more money and bringing those rare earth metals in-house. So yeah, regardless of what it is, this was on my watch as a large cap association trade where a much smaller cap stock gets an associated news catalyst with one of the largest stocks in the market, Apple itself, and you can see that sentiment that may follow through coming in off of the open. Definitely was a miss on my part. Beautiful reversion of VWAP a little bit later on, but that continuation has been quite nice. Hit a high of over 16% off of the opening price there. That was absolutely beautiful, and nice little curl and hold of those pre-market levels as well. So everything about this stock on the day today is showing a little bit of strength. And I know that Neil also pointed out this bit of a downtrend break as well. So yeah, more signs of potential strength coming in. It's only held above VWAP, hasn't even been able to get down towards VWAP and touch it at all. So again, another signifier of strength. This is the stair step that I'm talking about right here. Strength coming in, when is this, July 10th, and you can see just holding, and then increasing volume as well. So good look here on MP Materials. I know the swing on this one is working out quite nicely.
All right, guys, CYCC up next. What a big small cap mover this was today. There was really no specific catalyst, believe it or not, on this one. But last week, they did enter into agreement with fitters, diversified something or another. They're essentially for fire safety materials. That was last week's headline, though. That is not new. Today, I looked, technically breaking out with no new news, guys, CYCC.
If you short this stock, if you short CYCC, it's going to make you sweat. Honey P.
I mean,
I know Adara got that one. No, I know you know that one. But, okay, so why does the stock that looks like this in the monthly have potential to go? We have to remember, and we talk about this with the case of like a Mullen. Let's go back to the daily chart for a second here so we can grasp exactly what it is that we're looking at. That is 11.9 million is the high. And so very clearly, and like every single pop in the dilution in stocks like this is insane. But for the firms that lean on these to the short side and just win, when you have moves like this, it is unwinding time. And believe me, there's lots to be unwound. Of course, a lot of money got made shorting this stock into oblivion. So if you can catch one of these early where it's able to break out, and I'll go back to like a regular daily chart, because I think the notion is, like, look what happens every time this thing is tried. You have a reverse split, just trade down. Gap up, trade down. Breakout, trade down. Breakout, right to the bottom. Reverse split. And so what happens in that situation is there's a lot of long-term shorts that have been on it for a while and just keep adding and holding. And then you've got some shorts on the last split that have just gone ham, and it looks like it's just going to do the thing that it does every single time. And when it breaks out that local top after, you can have some serious explosion. It's like if Mullen ever did this, like imagine what Mullen could do. Although that same number when we did it on, when we pulled up this same chart on Mullen, it was 1.6 quadrillion or something was the relative all-time high, which boggles my mind. So I think if you find one of these early, where like you get one up halt, and after the down halt, this is the key, like after the down halt, it holds the volume weighted average price. I think right in there, like if you get a shot at it, the next up halt is like $6 and change, and your risk is to 5 something. That's about the only trade that I could think of if it's on your radar. All the rest of the stuff up here, it's a tricky game. If that's your cup of tea, great. It's not holding VWAP. You could probably slap a trend line on it and hope it works out like that, which really isn't that bad. But I'd be more inclined, if you can find it early, if after a down halt it immediately finds some clean support, that's not a bad look because it's still making some higher lows. And that way you have the opportunity for the 2, the 3, the 4x move without having to risk everything, which is to me the way to go in here. If you're here long now, like you're just kind of hoping that it has a couple of days in it, or that you can get some weird scalp trade when there's not a lot of liquidity. So look at that long-term chart, and sometimes when these reverse split and fall stocks break out that reverse split high, they can be good to go. No questions asked. But just remember, for every one of these, and I feel contractually obligated to show you, there is a Mullen, which looks like that. Remember I said quadrillion, and the daily chart of Mullen, where you have not had any success every single time. Like it can go, it tried once and right back into the bottom. A lot of times if you chase on the first day, you can get badly burned hoping it's more than a one-day move. Like Mullen did the same thing, but the next day was just right back to normal. So take your profit, everybody.
Yeah, I think ones to watch out for now. Again, I'm not too familiar with a lot of these small caps. Again, not really. Again, Sharif made a good point. He was like, "Obi, pull up CYCC and take a look at the tape." And I started watching the tape, and I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "I remember why I kind of don't really like trading these as much." Because again, I think honestly, this is absolutely ranked. Like this is very like. It's a much harder game to play, but again, if you have a playbook around some of these, I know a lot of traders who like to trade both the build up, the front side, maybe the consolidations, and the backside as well. So all the power to you if you are more than willing to get involved in some of these moves. But yeah, absolutely beautiful move today, all the way from a pre-market low of $4.29. We hit a high of $19.25. I was watching it here on this attempt to push, and then I saw it slam the bid back into 16s. I'm like, yeah, nope, no thank you. And then I looked away. But again, it is aggressive. It is a PvP playground, and yeah, it's just, stay safe out there. That's all I got to say.
Well said, Ob. SMCI, guys, great day for SMCI. Big mover, but chips are generally strong today on the back of that NVIDIA H20 news with China. Separately, Citigroup maintaining neutral on SMCI, but boosting that price target, boys, up from 37 to 52.
Oh, so with the move up in the chips, there was a lot that was strong. Obviously, SMCI, it's doing this stair-step breakout again, right? Like there's clear resistance channel. You have support and resistance, it breaks out and then makes a run to make a new high, consolidation, breaks that high, consolidates again. You're in that breakout, let's find the new high phase, which is day 1 for SMCI. So in that day, I'm only looking long. I think it's like this day in here. It's kind of like that day. You're just only looking long on the first day. It's won every single time it's done that in this pattern when it makes that new range. So why would it not do it the third time? And I was inspired by, like Joe made the comment as he was in his AMD trade about, they get the first entry and the second entry and got to make sure you have the third entry. There were 6 potential entries, maybe 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there were six legitimate entries on SMCI, of which I had 3. But I think when you're striving, a lot of times people will say, well, how could I do better in the trade? It's like, oh, I could have given this a wider stop, or I could have decided not to get rinsed out under VWAP and just held that against me. The way I look at it, I would rather have also had this shot and that one in there than change my execution plan. Because here's the thing, I can take it, people would consider that a tight stop and a tight stop. But if I get one or two of these other three that I didn't get, then who cares how tight your stop is? You managed to re-enter the trade. And the best move was the one that was right at 11:30. So it did grab it. Look, it's actually reverting back into VWAP as we speak, potentially, because it just came up to 54 again. So resistance at 54, support at 53, and VWAP. All look for the dip into that 53 area one more time. I just think when you have something which is in the verge of a trend like that, where my bet is that it closes near the high just like it has, either you're the buy and hold it all day long off an early look, or you want to continue to get in on every possible entry. I tend to be more of the latter, so that's what you got to be aggressive with, not necessarily jump out of your comfort zone. But I like SMCI. I think it's going to find some kind of a high today, and then I wouldn't be surprised if that was a consolidation area for the next little bit.
Yeah, no, SMCI, I had it on watch today because I was like, all right, we're going to be looking for the bid somewhere along the line on chips. And due to some of the NVIDIA news that we had this morning, or was it last night? Last night, we had it last night. Some crazy moves in Blue Ocean, for sure. Yeah, some opportunities 24/7 in 2025. So we're up for some beautiful times as well. Was it 2026? The NYSE saying they're going 24 hours as well. So some big plans. But regardless, SMCI was probably one of the only ones here I have on my list that kind of had that VWAP hold. Again, obviously Intel not really giving us that. AMD again giving us that strong push off of the open. NVIDIA, very lackluster, pretty much sideways consolidation, maybe looking for that continuation coming down the road, maybe this week or the coming weeks, if it's still going to happen. I have no idea. But ARM also holding that VWAP. But SMCI, again, one of the more cleaner ones here, holding that VWAP multiple times on top of that 52 and pushing past some of those prior week highs as well. So a little bit of a multi-frame breakout. You can see that prior high from last week was made on that Thursday around 51s. And you can see that 51 holding beautifully off of the open along with pre-market lows. So a lot of confluence there on the opening drive for SMCI. And if you had the guts to hold through all of it, guess what? It's looking like it's attempting another push for highs. Higher highs and higher lows is the only thing that SMCI has done today.
Bang.
So guys, trading near the lows. It went green to red on the day. A couple of headlines. Let's start with the India headline. They're going to start selling the Model Y there, but at around $70,000 US. Compare that to what they sell it in the continental US for around $45,000. Very much as a result of high Indian tariffs on EV imports. Also, a good week for China, or for Tesla in China, rebounding with 12,300 weekly registrations. That's the highest week ever for Tesla in China. Still, guys, trading near their lows.
Yeah, and that tariff is huge. And like it just goes to show to the reality of that there are some pretty prohibitive tariffs that are out there, and they were there before, and then certainly are there now. I'm looking at my note from yesterday, and it's like, okay, this would be the same thing. 312 dip, 319 breakout. The only thing different is I didn't feel the 320, I didn't feel the breakout of the 319, in part because at 8:30 and the number we'd already run into this and rejected it, and at the open you were already breaking out above it. Plus, look at the rejection that it had yesterday. I'll just do that so you can see that's the rejection on the 319 break, and then it double bottomed in front of 312.5 or so. So I don't know why you'd look at any other levels. So if you tried the breakout, to me, the 19 wasn't as valid. If anything, I'm not sure why I wasn't looking for the rejection and just shorting it like yesterday. But when it came down to that 312 level, I did have to take a couple stabs. Like the first time it made a bottoming tail wick right in here, like this candle, I got stopped out on the break. And then when it retook the lower high, or the higher low, and I jumped right back in the trade when it held the double bottom. So I did get a stop out and then right back in. It couldn't seem to play strongly past 315, at least when I was trading it into 315, and it looks like the same thing now. So at least in the short run, Tesla is struggling badly with this condensed 50 and 200 period moving average on the daily around the 320 area. Every time it gets there, it's getting to that price, and it's getting sold off pretty heavily. So I've said this multiple times, and it's just going to be true. One day, hopefully tomorrow or this week, we're going to have candles closing above 320, and I'm going to be long when we actually have candles closing above 320 and holding 320. Once that happens, Tesla's along again, and then we can go back to this being a stock which is trending up. But for now, this nice little recovery move that we've had, it just cannot, whoever is selling this thing at 320 is in control up there, and there's nothing you can do. Either you short that level until it goes, or you wait for about the 312 area lately to be a buy. Well, that's pretty much all there is on Tesla. I'm really hoping that changes, but while it's in this range, you might as well trade it.
Yeah, I think that's very it's very clear, the seller and the supply that's sitting at the 322s. Again, I was going to point that out as well, especially from yesterday. Yesterday's wick on the 15-minute chart was pretty deadly on Tesla, and the follow-through was pretty nice as well. Like, if there is an indication that you're looking for to see who is in charge, I think the first opening 15-minute candle on the day yesterday kind of gave us a pretty decent look, and a nice continuation as well. Sure, a little bit of a chop once it does settle down into prior day's highs as well, but you can see another day where we come back in to those 320s, supply stepping right back in, keeping us in that range. But interestingly enough, now a little bit of a support forming at that 313 from yesterday, and today holding as support, maybe a little bit from the Friday last week's high as well. Last week's high? Yes, sir. Last week's high. Bit of a gap fill from the prior Thursday as well. Interesting. So this 313 definitely seems a little bit interesting to me right off the bat. And oh boy, look at that 309 hold. So a lot of stuff happening in and around this area. Let's see. I think Neil is definitely correct in trying to see if that 320 seller does lift.
Before we go back to the Sharif, we had a super chat. We had two of them. Anton Delta, mountain biking while trading made possible by tradertv.live.
Nice.
Thank you. And Ian Rispetto, what do you think of BlackRock for a long hold? Be okay. It got hit pretty nice after earnings. Thank you. So I have a monthly up of BlackRock. Generally speaking, we talk about the 3-day rule all the time. So yeah, it got hit, but look where it is on the monthly chart. It's been bouncing the 50 period so nicely on dips. Like, it's not crazy that if this is a fresh high that you could get something in the 900 range. Or like, that's for the long term, I start with a monthly chart for anything that I consider my long term. And then other times I might look at the 50, I look at a daily chart in here and the 50 period there. That's still in and around 1,000. So I'd be in more wait and see mode for a couple of days, but it could certainly get down into levels where, yeah, an upward trending stock, you like it, it's going to give you some value to jump in and buy the dip. So in a general sense, yes, it's just not any levels that I would do on day one. If it tanks so far that it goes into some of these really good levels and there's nothing wrong fundamentally, I would, but hey, give it a couple of days or let it pull back into some more meaningful levels on BlackRock. Let's talk about another chip name. All about the chips today.
Yeah, it's chip day today, Neil. And it's not just NVIDIA that can sell their H20 back into China. AMD also getting a boost. We missed that. The MI308, Joey, that can also make its way out to China now with these new restrictions being removed. Also, separately, reports that chips could be strong as a group as a result of the Trump administration announcing a massive $70 billion investment in USAI and energy infrastructure. Keep an eye out on that today, later with Adara, as that Carnegie Mellon AI Energy Conference kicks off, guys.
Yeah, no, the AMD move this morning was absolutely wild as well. Again, stock selection. We talked about that whole chip sector, NVIDIA, Intel, AMD, SMCI, SMH even, not really giving us what we're looking for. I guess if you were looking for the long, NVIDIA didn't really give us that right off of the open, but AMD does come in quite nicely. Even with that pre-market trend holding so cleanly, you can see it even from a little bit of a base here, holding that. Sure, we kind of come in much later, but that holds going into the open and breaking out of that pre-market high as well, around 155. So kind of looking back at the chart, let's go to a higher time frame here, take some of these indicators off so we can see a little bit better. We can see that we broke this 150 through that push and kind of coming up into some of these prior levels as well. So yeah, I like that look on AMD for that continuation. I don't know if chips are going to stay strong, but AMD definitely showing us that it can step up and higher with those higher highs and higher lows today.
on the weekly chart of AMD, like this was, on a weekly, look at it sort of break out this trend. If anything, there's also, you know what, whatever, am I just gonna, I don't need to draw this. You guys get an idea of what this trend will look like, but I'm gonna draw it anyways. So if you look at the trend from the tops on the weekly chart, it also just broke out and consolidated that. Like you're getting a pretty big move here in advanced micro devices, which had been so weak. And this is from the beginning of 2024. That's why I pulled up a weekly chart. So just based on this breakout, one would lead you to think we're headed to the 170 area. Like that's the spot that I think my eyes are looking toward in a general sense on AMD. Look, I liked SMCI and NVIDIA today, and I would say it was the right decision with SMCI, maybe the wrong one with NVIDIA. But that's why on a chip, someone put it in the chat, like a chip news is all chip news, or NVIDIA news is all chip news, or something to that effect. And I completely agree. I almost always approach, like if we have that gap up in the NVIDIA hit, I want to have NVIDIA and I want to have a backup play in the chip space. Today, I thought it was SMCI. AMD would have been a perfectly reasonable pick as well. And a big shout out to Joe, who got the mean reversion short on AMD.
Really
when
good, yeah.
Like, look at the snipe in here. It was 158, I believe Joe had, or something almost exactly at that price. And sometimes when you get that opening drive, you get this one shot to clean get in, where your risk to reward is a matter of like maybe $50 at most, and the stock just ran $5. Like it just went $5, and you can take a reversion, which even if it goes to VWAP is a couple bucks, it's great risk to reward. I was really only thinking long. It didn't even occur to me to try that short. It was a great one. It looks a little sleepy. If anything, I would say this slight downward trend, look for that to maybe break, and then you could have something going in the afternoon to the upside. As a matter of fact, I might, oh no, I'm not going to save that trend line because I know what's going to happen if I do. But yeah, if it breaks this trend line, which would be something around the 156.5, you'd have to break out for the afternoon here on AMD. But yeah, looking pretty good. So far, so good. And I do believe we are going to go to Adara.
Keep an eye here on BTC and some of these weight loss drug names. I'll start with the weight loss drug names because they're on my chart. Barron's on watch here. A Chinese weight loss drug, according to Barron's, it said that this Chinese weight loss drug is showing early promise as a potential rival to Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk. So Novo Nordisk and Lilly on watch here as, according to this Barron's report, a Chinese weight loss drug showing that it could be a solid competitor for those companies' products. Then we have BTC on watch. We have some comments coming here on X from Jake Sherman. Jake Sherman is the founder of Punchbowl News. He's also reported, it looks like, for NBC. And he's saying that apparently House Republicans have failed to clear a procedural motion that would allow for the consideration of a pair of crypto bills and the defense spending bill. So sounds like there might be a blow here for this crypto week bill approval. If I have more details, I'll let you know. I also want to let you guys know on the topic here of crypto and AI, we are having this Pennsylvania Energy Summit. Donald Trump expected to attend. The stream hasn't started yet. It's set to start at 2:30 p.m. So potentially any time now, I will let you guys know if and when I get more information on any of these stories. Back to you.
Thank you very much.
So I want to thank you.
It didn't work. Fabian, no. Hit it. You know the one I want. No. Oh, that's not fair.
No?
I'm going to get that graphic working. I wanted my thanks Adara button, and it didn't work.
Okay, we'll try again.
So I want to thank you very much, Dara.
There you go. Nice.
Okay, there it is.
Sick.
Right.
You're welcome, Trump.
It's a little bit delayed, but like my whole, hey, you get the idea. Thank you, Adara, and that's just too cool. But just one quick little note. I put the break-even stop in the last of my ETH. It's like I said, it's the first time I've ever traded it, which is a simple breakout play. I wanted to see if we could let it fly. Obviously, that headline is going to get you out, but that's why you also trade with stops. So I'm going to let this one go, not necessarily need to focus too much on there. I see you're into Apple, Obi, and
yes,
I wanted to point out, because a few people mentioned this, like Circle's dumping on this. I got to get back to that stock. But QBTS also on the verge of a breakout. Tony, yes, I did get the fly. Well, I've got a couple today, but the one that you saw live, I also got.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's summertime. It's summertime as well. You're seeing that, like, Mother Nature's coming out. Spring, I mean, it's way past spring now. Whoa, what is happening there?
It's that crypto
When you said Circle is dropping, I didn't expect that kind of drop.
I'm just saying.
Where is my chart?
I had a scalp trade in this thing. Like,
oh
come
my
on,
God,
man.
what is happening? Okay,
Like,
all right.
small
Intraday
scalp,
news. Let's
break
go.
even, and
Got
now
to
it
sit up.
dumps.
Gamer position, I'm joking.
What's the gamer position?
So when you lean forward by about, I think it's 15 to 20 degrees, you get plus 10 focus, and you have maybe plus 2 intuition as well. I don't know.
Plus 2 intuition.
Yeah. Gotta stack up those buffs.
On a scale of what?
You gotta ask some
Relative
of the
to
game
what?
makers. I don't know.
Like, if it's out of 100, that's not very good.
I mean, look at
It's out of
ETH
10.
is dropping as well. So
No,
it's a nice
everything.
confluence.
It was good to get
Are you
out
still
of ETH.
short?
Hell no, I'm not still short.
Okay.
Sometimes this happens. I'm just no, I'm mad at myself because this happened to me with a firm a couple of years ago, where I was short a firm in the afternoon show, or it was in the afternoon, and like 10. It was a day that a firm dropped their earnings in the afternoon by accident, and when they dropped their earnings by accident, the stock absolutely tanked. And like 3 minutes before that accidental release, I was short into the high, and I had just been stopped out, and I was like, ah. And then they dropped the earnings, and it was like, boom, tank. So effectively, that's kind of what happened on Circle here. Only I was out of this a while ago. I was in this short. It couldn't break 197. So cover it. It got back in, then got out of that one for a small hit. And now Circle on that new news, yeah, that's right, is absolutely flushing. I'm not chasing this. It's way too far down. But I paid for locates. I'll let this one settle in and see if we can't pick up something on the way back to the upside. It's a heavy candle, but Circle, where it's been, like, it's nothing. 'Tis but a scratch.
'Tis but a scratch.
As the, you know where that's from.
Of course.
That's
Let's go.
My man.
Holy grail.
It's got a lot of room if it decides to go downside here. Let's be real. The market's starting to come back in here a little bit as well. Is there something I can short that's not waiting for Circle to make a bit of a move? I know I liked MU. I'm just going over in my head.
We also need,
Oh, I know I was waiting for MU to turn. If the market's turning, this has nothing to do with Circle. It's Micron. Sometimes you've been looking at a bunch of charts and you're like, I want to revert this one because it was weaker than the other chips if it gets back to the upside and the market turns. And I remembered that stock was Micron. So I go over, everything else is at the lows. Micron happens to be breaking trend.
Oh boy.
This is what happens. You look at too many charts. I'm like, yeah, there was something I was looking at that would be setting up like this. Flip to Micron, and it was Micron.
Yeah, no, I'm staring this circle down here. Pug Life is saying, Obi, stop nerding out and take the reversion on Circle. Yes, sir, I'm looking at it right now. Let's take a look at this tape together here. CRCL, let me go. That trades on the NYSE. And something else, Neil, I'm just gonna ask you, can I get some borrows, please? For the Circle, just in case. You got to have them on hand, and I did not borrow them this morning. I'll have the usual. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
We'll see if that sets up. But as of right now, dumping to the downside and still continuing the selling through 190. So let's take a quick look at some. Okay, got stopped out on that Apple. That's fine. That bid came in pretty aggressively on Apple. Yeah, it wiped up like 15, 20 pennies right there. But again, within range, but I'm watching really closely this Circle.
Wow,
so let's throw up a little bit of a filter here on the tape so we can see any sort of distinctly different action if it does want to come up. Thank you very much, Neil. Yeah, 181s. Let's see what's happening here. I don't necessarily need to see the chart that much, but we'll take a close look at that as well. Yeah, no, I'm more than willing to kind of let it work. Let it work itself out because this is fresh news. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. That is a little bit of a bid coming back into 192.70s. The spread is pretty nice as well. 40 to 50 pennies at times. Sometimes maybe even a little bit more there. Wow, look at that aggressive bid coming right in. So yeah, I guess that was it. That was it. That was the topping. What do you call it? The bottoming tail candle. Yes.
I mean, Bitcoin had one as well. That's pretty aggressive. Yeah. So look, if you're going to trade this off the 3 minute, I was scanning stocks at the time, but if you're going to trade this off the 3 minute, that's a very, very, you have to be so fast because it does this bottoming tail, like this candle closes and then we open up and it's gone. Like it opens up, wicks this 191 and it's just gone. So you have to be so quick to realize you want the long off 191 so that you can get it in the first half dollar, because by the time you blink, it's through 192 and it's going. Very tricky. Like I don't know how many human traders could have been in like that trade. Like maybe you could have guessed 190 and gotten in on this 3-minute wick, or put up a 1-minute chart. Sometimes, and I know I like 3-minute charts, but if you're the aggressive type trader, then you want to use a 1-minute chart, I think, in this situation, because then you probably could, on a 1-minute, when it does this candle, you can just say, forget it, I'm getting it somewhere in here, and you're going to get the 191.5 a little bit easier. But as it works back down, I just got into Micron, and on that reversion play, I have to go back to my 3-minute. Okay, that works. That was weird. It's like, are we going to go back to the 3-minute, or are we just going to not? So there was the break of the trend. VWAP's pretty much right away. So yeah, first exit is going to be tight, but that's because the reversion happened right in front of the volume weighted average price, which I'm always going to take something there in case it bounces. And now I want to get the next out right about 119.8 and 119.9, which was this breakout spot. So we break volume weighted average price, we'll let it trade to here. Hopefully we get the low of the day. Well, I don't want the market to go to low of the day, but if we do, then I want Micron on that mean reversion to work out. So yeah, anyone watching the news, it's really all about, like, it's almost as if that sell the news on crypto is just dumping everything. You know it's live when I see someone pull up Hood, and I'm like, let's look at some other stocks here, and did not realize that Hood was having this kind of moment. It makes obvious sense, but clearly that 101, and the reason why I just went a little screw face there for a second, is where do you think Robinhood was at when it dumped? So regardless of what happens on Micron for that mean reversion, it is you know why? Look at Robinhood. I don't even have to draw this one. It's not even necessary. It doesn't matter that you draw this trend line.
Everything.
Like the whole day trend and news. That's essentially like it's like the golden ticket. Like if you get a trend line break and then news happens at the same time, to give it you that, because then you like maybe you would have taken some out at 100, but like where else are you getting it out? So maybe there's going to be a bottom here. I almost feel like IBIT is a safer bottoming play than a lot of this other crap, to be honest, because Bitcoin's a little bit more stable, for lack of a better word. So I just feel better about trying to revert IBIT. It's double bottomed here at about 66, so it's holding 116,000 in all of this. Whereas look at how heavier some of the candles are on the other names. I feel like risk to reward. If you can get something off the 66 even, VWAP is sitting at 4-1, maybe 5-1. I'd rather take this for a bounce play. You just have to risk less on IBIT if you give it to the 66 area. I think we're going back up to the desk with Adara. For now, the shorts are winning. Let's see if we can close this candle above 66, and I might take a shot at IBIT. Adara?
Yeah, I just want to let you guys know here, in case anyone missed this catalyst, we did get a post on X coming from Jake Sherman, who is a reporter. He's the founder of Punchbowl, and he's also worked for NBC. He said that House Republicans were unable to clear a procedural motion that would allow for the consideration of a pair of crypto bills and the defense spending bill. So, no, why is this such a big deal, specifically for these crypto names, but also, I guess, tangentially, I think, for the rest of the market? Well, a lot of people have been attributing this push into all-time highs in BTC, at least partially, to crypto week. It was supposed to be the acceptance here, the embracing, especially at a governmental level, of crypto and regulations related to crypto. Given that that has fallen through, some of the sentiment seems to have changed. Again, there are definitely a lot of other reasons, including technical reasons for that Bitcoin breakout, but a lot of people did attribute that push higher, especially into that 123,000 level, to crypto week. Now things are a little bit different. Back to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Adara. Yeah, that Mark. Oh, yeah, we got to use that one.
So I want to thank you very much, Dara.
There you go, nice. I got to get that one as well. I'm talking to Fabian a little bit earlier. I'll have my stream deck fully set up the way I like it by tomorrow. Don't worry about that. But Circle coming right back in. So that 188 bounce all the way back to 192 was pretty aggressive as well. So yeah, pretty wild action happening here on the Circle. And yeah, I'm paying attention. I'm watching. I'm letting it settle down. Let's see how it goes here. 3-minute chart I'm watching. I'm watching 15-minute chart as well. And Neil pointed out that Robinhood as well. I really, really like that one as well. Again, like he mentioned, that's a trade you'd already probably be in. And yeah, if I was watching it, if I was being involved in that stock, yeah, I would definitely be like, all right, well, we've seen supply at the 101 halves. 101.20s was that prior current day high, and we come into that level and we fail once again, and at an area where it's shown us to have supply before. So it's just like, all right, well, how much more do I really need to see before kind of getting with the program in a sense, right? So it's like, yeah, that might be a situation where, you know, you're in there and you get pretty lucky as well, and it's all about kind of being at the right place at the right time. There's more stocks as well.
But that's exactly that's half of what trading is. It's looking at the right stock and at the right moment, and you know, the execution part comes after that. I'm trying to figure, why is SBET holding up so well? Like, why would? Yeah, we're gonna look at, wow, oh my goodness, the bounce on Circle. That is absurd. Circle, this gets back all the way in the prior lows. That could be a nice little secondary push. Let's go back. We're gonna go to the desk. Adara has more.
Yes, keep an eye here on this market. We have comments coming through from Fed's Collins. We did have some Fed's comments earlier, none of them super market related, but Fed's Collins saying that the economy is in a good place, which allows the Fed to be actively patient. So this implies at least Fed's Collins here is open to leaving the rate where it is for the time being. She also warns that tariffs will be lifting core inflation near 3% by the end of the year. So we keep waiting to see if there's going to be a tariff impact on inflation. As of now, we haven't really seen it, but Fed's Collins saying by the end of the year, we certainly will. So interesting look here. She's also saying, though, that apparently margins might actually dampen the effects of tariffs. So, of course, we're going to have to wait and see if that is, in fact, the case. But either way, keep an eye on this market. Interesting stuff in between this crypto-related catalyst and comments from Fed's Collins. Back to you.
So I want to thank you very much, Dara.
Nice.
I understand for some people that's going to get old, but it's not old for me yet, so I'm going to keep doing it. I immediately answered my own question when I said, why is SBET holding up so well? Well, I pulled up ETH, and ETH just bounced clean off the volume-weighted average price, so obviously that would be a good reason why SBT would, of course, being whatever it is they did before and then turning themselves into a they were a gaming company, gaming, farming, whatever it is that you do, and then you turn yourself into some kind of a crypto treasury, and you have fun stuff happen, and that's what's happening on SBET. So it bounces clean off VWAP as well. So yeah, if you're trading this, the same way we look at Nasdaq stocks and pull up the Qs and have the Qs on the side chart or whatever in a SPY, or maybe you have SMH when you're trading some of the chip names, or you have NVIDIA when you're trading the chip names. Yeah, if you're trading SBET, good idea to have ETH up there, because when that bounce, you probably, like when I was questioning what was happening, if I saw the bounce on ETH, that's a pretty good bottoming tail for a scalp trade. I won't chase it. I'm not sure I want to be long on this bounce, given the sell the news aspect to all of this on the crypto names. I'm kind of eyeballing Circle to see if it doesn't come into, of course, it's a Nasdaq stock, not New York stock, not Nasdaq. See if it can come back into that high, like 195, half 196, and look for some kind of a curl before it gets to the volume-weighted average price. So I'm going to be patient with this. I'm not really convinced we should be following through all the way back up. But let's go to Adara.
I just want to add as well here some more context with regards to this crypto story. We do have, apparently, they are able to vote again, the House, on these crypto bills that they had the motion failed to pass through. But what's interesting here is the specifics of why this was unable to pass through. Again, this is reported by a reporter from the Punch Bowl, but apparently the procedural vote was unable to go through because some members from the Freedom Caucus apparently objected to the bundling of the Genius Act with other crypto bills. So it seems like the issue was less the bills themselves and more how the bills were packaged together, though House Speaker Mike Johnson said that they want it in one package, so it's unlikely they're going to waver from that. Again, they can vote again, but I think the details of this are important. It seems like the issue is mostly how the bills are bundled together, at least how it's being reported by Punch Bowl. Back to you.
I like Punch Bowl. Is such a great name. Okay, I'm not gonna use it every single time. So I'm not gonna. Thank you very much, Adara. Ooh.
All right, so guys, Beta Pro by Global X. Savvy Canadian traders looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3 times daily leveraged ETFs, featuring built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term market moves, minimizing the impact of currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs are built for active day traders, ready to take on the market. Read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. All right, so yeah, that was a pretty nice bounce on that circle right there. It came in real hot, real fast, and while that was happening, I was kind of getting a little aggressive with Apple as it tries to trade a little bit lower towards VWAP. You can see I was in that push. Again, 20 pennies right away, and then wipes back to the prior high. I get stopped out and then slams right back in. I'm like, all right, not without me. I'm coming in right away, back through into that 211s. That's what I wanted, and I guess that's what I got. So where is the next trade is what I'm asking. What's up, Adara?
Keep an eye here on these crypto names. I'm sorry, guys, to keep coming in here, but we do have more updates. So apparently, according to a reporter from Fox posting on X, the House will apparently try for another vote on these crypto bills that failed to go through, apparently at 5 p.m. Eastern. So at about just over 2 hours, they will attempt a second vote. Apparently, Donald Trump is not pleased with the results, again, according to this Fox reporter, and he's now making outreach to members of these groups that blocked the crypto bills from coming to the floor. So President Trump apparently going to try some outreach with members directly. We know this is what he did for the big, beautiful bill. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with this going forward, but apparently we could have another vote on this bill as of 5 p.m. Eastern. If I see any more details, I will let you know. Back to you.
Yeah, that's good information because it certainly changes the litmus in terms of wanting to reshort that move. If the how many sellers? Oh my goodness! Just as I was, you always want to be informed, but I think just as I was sort of thinking and talking myself out of this short on Circle, which I'm not inclined to change my mind. I am like, well, if they're going to just be able to vote. If they're just going to be able to vote at 5 and Trump's going to push hard to see if he can get it done, when it already sold off, how aggressive are they going to be profit taking if we already had such huge volume come in? Maybe there is going to be more. You know what? It's a dollar risk.
Like it.
It's a dollar risk with $5 of upside. I'm sitting there talking myself through it, and I should have just taken this. Well, I should have just taken the 94s. Anyways, sometimes you can overthink things, which I clearly just did. That's life. You got this. You got it.
That's why I literally turned around to you and I was like, "You're actually thinking of getting out of it." That's why I wanted to hear what you wanted to say because I was looking at it. No, I wasn't even in. I was looking at it and I was like, "All right, I do like it. I do like it. I don't know." That's why I wanted to hear your opinion. It could still not work.
Don't listen to my opinion. No, man, you got to make your trade.
I wanted to know what you had to say.
Don't worry about me overthinking things. There, Pug Life. That is probably a 50% retracement there.
Yeah, it's about a 50%. On that rip back up.
You know what? When in doubt, zoom out. Because I think when we remember how tight this range is, I know it looks like a lot when it's $5 on a $200 stock, but this is pretty tight ranging in here. It hasn't really done that much. Let's be real. Yeah, I should 100% be in this one. I'm glad you're in it there. Let us know what else you guys are looking at. Because right now we're really just looking at the crypto names based on the news that's been dropping this afternoon. I'm in Micron, but that was a trend reversion. Why is this still Circle? I just typed there we go. I just typed MSTR. I'm like, why didn't it go through? There it is. But MSTR, people are like, why is MSTR dropping? If anything in the crypto space is dropping, it's because this bill didn't go through during crypto week, and we'll see what happens with vote after market. You're in for a treat tonight. My daughter has baseball, so Joe's going to step in and do the aftermarket show with Adara. So it should be a fun one, and all this crypto news to review. I'd say the good news, like an MSTR dip, never even broke the low of the day. So no break of the low on MSTR. I'm assuming, I shouldn't make the assumption, but it's a safe one. I was like, IBIT probably didn't break the day if that's true. So I did jump in after the fact into Circle. I should have had maybe like 193, 6 or 7. Instead, I have it on the way down at 20s. And hopefully that wasn't too loud. Bunch of flies around here. And I think you got to be able to give it into that high. Like the upside in this particular case, the downside is all the way into the high 80s. And when you look at the 15, Like to me, underneath here, like your target's got to be at least into 90 and then the 80s if we're going to get continuation. So I think you got to give this one some room. So I'll be willing to give it to that local top. And my stop was already in because I had kind of not taken the trade and just left my stop in. So I'll leave the stop in front of that prior high. But yeah, Bitcoin really, like direct Bitcoin names seem to be a little bit better when you look at what's going on with IBIT and MSTR. I think the real move in terms of volatility, one way or another, is going to be in something like a Circle.
Yeah, no, I like that. I got stopped out right away because I kept a pretty tight stop back through that 194, and then once the bid kind of got back above that, I got out. I'm more than willing to kind of get back in. So I did get a little bit of a cover for on top of 192s, short 194s, but again, that's not what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for that 190 to potentially come back in. But the reversion's working out quite nicely as well right now, but let's see where it can get to. This is holding a moving average as well right now. Oh boy, while I'm talking and looking at Circle, Apple quadunks down into VWAP, and I don't even have it anymore. Oh my God! It's gotta stay focused on a little bit of everything here because there's moves everywhere. And where is the next trade is what I'm asking right now. That Circle coming back up above 194. Can we get to 195s? VWAP's all the way at 197 halves right now. And another stock that is coming into VWAP here that I was looking at earlier was Apple. This consolidation low coming in at 210.40s. A little bit of a confluence with VWAP. It held it well during the midday session. Can it hold it well now as the market is ripping back down toward its lows? And VWAP buyers, where are you at? Are you still here is the question that I'm asking. Are you going to give me another potential for the next trade? I really did like the short reversion to VWAP, but guess what? Not really holding it to fruition. Oh boy, as that comes in quite nicely from this local high. What was it? I think I had 211.40s, then got back in 211.20s. We're trading 211.59s right now, just hovering above this VWAP. So the question becomes, can we see more of those buyers from before? And here's Circle back down in 193s, Neil. So again, I'm going to let this kind of chop and churn for a little bit, but I still like the same idea. I'm not really.
The market's starting to give it up a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not really feeling the long too much up here. The reversion was nice into the moving. I do like it, but like you said, if we're going to come, if we're going to have more potential catalyst on this later on in the day, you don't know. Well, I don't definitely know what it's gonna do. So.
It cuts both ways. The way I'm sort of looking at it, and I know I talked myself out of it, but there's two sides to that coin. Of it, well, if we tanked this far because it got voted down once, and then the president comes out and was like, "How are you going to vote this down? Let's rally the troops and be highly critical of it." There's another fly. Then what if it gets voted down again? Like, what would the tank look like if it loses again this evening? I think it would be like Circle could really, really flush. So
we could finally get that move.
So therefore, there would still be some people that might be thinking, let's take some more risk off here. Anyways, like I said, I could be wrong about that. The Q's almost getting down into those lows. When I see it down at support like that, that Micron goes from VWAP. That Micron trend reverse goes from VWAP down into the 119.8. I'm sort of thinking, take the stairs down. If we can break the next channel, probably requires the market to break the low, and then we work off the low. If the market bounces off the low, then I don't want to let this get back through the volume-weighted average price. At this point, Micron is a stock that is relatively strong. Market's at the low, and it's barely breaking down. So I want to make sure that we don't throw away the profit on the 1 Micron shot there. Steve Canyon, I answered a question in the chat because it was Daniel in the chat had asked, where would you put a trailing stop on Alibaba? And I was sort of saying, well, I'm not in the trade. And so we can't, I'm not here to tell you what orders to put in or what stocks to trade. That's not really what any of us are trying to do. All I can say is if I was shorting Alibaba, the first question you got to ask is, are you day trade short? Are you swing trade short? If you're swing trade short, then I think sort of obviously this end of June high or the 50 period at 118 gives you an obvious exit if you got the 117 short here. But if I was short just above the high of day, if I'm in this trade, if I've taken this short trade here, then I'm either putting it at the high or just above the high. That's it. Like, I always try to keep it relatively simple. That's what I do. And it's no different from the trade that I'm in on Micron, where it breaks that trend. And I'm not going to draw the trend line again. You guys know where it is, where my stop is here or here. Most of the time, it'll be here. It's a relatively strong stock. If it's going to get there, it's probably going to break out anyways. And then I start trailing. Once it breaks VWAP, I put a trail on so I don't lose the gains. So I think at this point, if you're like this market's at the lows, it's either you bounce here or you don't bounce at all, I think. So I'm trying to think what I like to the long side. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, where is SMCI?
Power hour.
As we go to power hour, and coincidentally, market at the low, SMCI is at VWAP, of course.
That shake and bake that came in on the open of the hour, that was pretty nice there. I'm watching Apple. I'm looking for a potential bid here. I don't know if this is what I'm really looking for just yet, but again, watching Circle as well, and the market's at the lows, and I think Neil is right. If we're going to bounce, we've seen a little bit of demand here once, twice, and now maybe a third time as well, right? off of that 23. But again, that has yet to be seen, and let's see if that prior support, that consolidation low on Apple holds. 210.40s is where VWAP is. 210.47 currently. So we're still kind of chopping around that. I'll let that one work and see where the next trade potentially is. That hood was coming in quite nicely as well. Let's take a quick look at hood. Let me know in the chat, guys, what are you guys trading? Did you guys take that circle move, or are you waiting for something else? That reversion was quite nice. You had to snipe that if you're trying to get it off those 188 lows right there. Let's throw on, you know what I like to do? I like to throw on a little bit of an anchored VWAP as well. Again, shout out to Mr. Brian Shannon there for introducing me concept, yeah, no. So you can see we're kind of consolidating on top of that that anchored VWAP, which is currently sitting at 192.84s on Circle. So it held that pretty well, and I think keeping it tight was a good thing. Let's see. Again, I'm looking for that VWAP as well. Intraday VWAP a little bit higher, all the way up here at 197.60, kind of in the core-ish area of this all of the morning's consolidation. It is VWAP. So Circle is that one. Hood was the one I was going to check out right here. So that one coming in with a bit of a reversion as well. This is the one we were talking about, that 101 area, man. Oh boy, a little bit of supply. Sure, a little bit of a catalyst, but guess what? Supply nonetheless coming in in those areas. So day low of 97.17 here on Hood. So let's see if that can do a little bit of reversion as well. It's reverted, like I think someone in the chat said, at 50% so far. I do like that. Let's see, Gabriel in the chat talking about APLD. Yes, coin and QBTS. Let's take a quick look at some of those. Yeah, wow, look at that coin. Oh boy, hello. I guess some of these levels came in. So that 337.16 is the low here. So this Coinbase reversion is looking a little bit nicer here, a lot sharper, with a lot of volume making up for that low, and a 375 area bounce as well. Market coming in here nicely as well. You can see that again, a little bit of a demand zone that we said before. Let's see if there's follow through in this one. Again, 15 minutes, got about 11 and a half minutes roughly left for this 15-minute candle to print. So let's see if that bid kind of comes in. And what was the other one? QBTS, right? Oh, so QBTS, yeah, I guess a little sideways, nothing too crazy right now, but trying to push high a day. Double top high a day. We just recently made that secondary top right there. That's coming in at $16.17. We're only trading about 6 pennies away from that currently, but a little bit of a range chop here on QBTS. Let's see if this catalyst can bring us a little bit of the move, that potential breakout. Again, maybe one to watch out for. Thank you for pointing it out in the chat. Okay, one more. Simpleton Jeep. Nice. HIMS. Talking about HIMS. Let's take a quick look at HIMS. Oh, nice. A little bit of a downtrend. We saw it yesterday. Quite the strength. Bit of a gap up. Looking for that continuation. Doesn't really come in today. And a little bit of a flush all the way back down to 50. So nice look there. Apple's looking like it wants to hold VWAP for now.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it wants to hold. The Nasdaq is really powering back. I'll go to SMCI in a second, but first, I don't usually get petty with tightening up a stop, but I'm going to get a little bit petty here. And it's not a huge difference, but I'm not going to let this run this top. I'm going to give it to that. Because I feel like if we break this top, the lower high that it just put in, it's going to blow through this on the way potentially to VWAP. So I'll still look. I'm looking for 2 and 4. So this is what I wanted to risk. But instead of giving it a stop through the high, lower high, that way you probably get a better execution if it stops out, and then there should be less slippage in that range. So just a slight change in the stop by about 30 cents. It's not a huge amount, but I think the way that we're rebounding here, I'm just going to do it. And again, if this works out, fine. I'm shorting this. Like if you look at the 15-minute chart, it's the consolidation play that I like. Like there's your 15-minute tail underneath the prior low, and then you go back to this level. So I'm kind of shorting this to play into this part of the range on a 15-minute. But if it breaks, now that you've got a lower high, I'm just going to take it out if it starts breaking out that top. I want to go over to SMCI. That happened pretty quick off of VWAP when we went there. Like you just look for something strong when the market's at the low, and by the time I got on the bid, like it just started shooting up off VWAP. I'll see if I can get something on the way back in here. Just look at me, 10, 15 cents above. I don't want to chase too far. I still have almost just over the 53 bid where I'm trying to pick this up. And it just comes down to, okay, well, what does SMCI have to do with the crypto headline? Nothing. And as the market was at the lows, is it stronger than the relative market? Answer, yes. Like I'd rather dip by something relatively strong if I can. It doesn't mean it's automatically going to work. I just think it gives you a better chance if that's the way you want to go. But it was a good look on that on that D-Wave, QBTS, because I had totally forgotten about this. That's another example of if you get a headline that drives everything down, even something that isn't directly related to the theme, those are good places to buy the dip. And it's right back at the high. I should have thought of that before I thought of SMCI. But, you know, that kind of is what it is. I'm keeping an eye also on IBIT while all this is going on. Another reason why, like if IBIT loses VWAP, like Bitcoin loses VWAP, then I think it makes it good for the shorts. I might decide if this breaks out to just punch out of circle manually. If I start to see this break out, or if I start to see ETH, which I have up here, if I start to see this break, it's consolidation. Like that's a good reason to just get out early. If we break away from this consolidation, then I'll just not even wait for my stop to get hit. Let's go back up to the desk. Adair's got more.
Well, here with QBTS, in case anyone missed it, they have their own catalyst as well. This came out right before the midday ended, but they got this pop here as an individual, James Altucher, who is a hedge fund member. I guess he releases some analyst notes on stocks. He basically said that QBTS could be a potential takeover target. So QBTS did have its own catalyst as well. I think worth noting possibly why it stayed as strong as it did during that market-wide dip. Back to you.
Exactly, and that's what it's like. This is one thing, and thank you, Adara. Like, I do this all the time. The story came in the midday for QBTS. We heard it, and we've talked about it. And I know there's new viewers all the time as we're watching. New viewers that come on at 2 o'clock. Maybe you're just popping in now. So we always strive to do a better job of, hey, I'll repeat the story, even though I know what it is, and that's why we have Adara here. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, you can know there's a crypto news. Obviously, with the bill, which could get a vote at 5 o'clock. QBTS. Oh, I hope it gets taken out. $1.12. We got it in our household. Although we've sold some, that would be nice. It would be interesting to see what kind of a premium you slap on that. It's not very often, I'm just being real, it's not very often that you see stocks that have done this in the last calendar year or so that then get speculation, like buyout speculation. Like what premium? Like slapping however many day average. Like it's already gone parabolic on essentially not much fundamentally yet. So it would be interesting to see what somebody actually could make that worth. So I like this VWAP on SMCI. Why do we like it? The market's trying to rebound. Nasdaq goes right into the day low and is coming back in. The ES, same story. ES got right to its low and is trying to bounce. So SMCI was the first thing that came to my mind. If there's something else you guys like that's even stronger, I'd love to see it. That much is for sure. I think of what I know. Like, I know a lot of people have talked about Tesla. I'm trying to think of a name like to the south side. if we
I think
continue.
that's been selling off, yeah.
Well, Tesla's been selling off all day long, but it's right at the low of the day, but it broke the low of the day. My thought is if the market continues to go, you could play continuation on Tesla, but I'm already short Micron and Circle. I don't know.
Intel's one of those ones.
Intel's one as well.
Intel's trading to the downside. AMD as well. Trade Desk, again, one with its own catalyst as well, maybe feeling a little bit more of that market tailwind and pressure as well. Let's take a quick look at some of those as well. So again, I traded that Trade Desk this morning on this very desk. So let's take a quick look at that one there. 80.98 is the low, currently trading at 80. Nice and directional. This is a 15-minute chart, and oh boy, have we been selling off quite nicely throughout the day. I had a little bit of a strong long bias, and I did get a little chopped up on the way. Was involved a little bit on this one, but again, left it alone pretty early as I was like, all right, well, sellers are clearly in charge. Am I really going to sit here and spend a lot more of my daily risk? Probably not. I guess the fair trade might have even been to be like, all right, look at some of those prior levels, look at some of the nuances of this S&P 500 ad, and then look to get short for that continuation back down into 81. So yeah, a little bit of a review. Definitely this one deserves by the end of the day today. So I'm definitely going to be writing more about that in my journal. AMD was that other one right here. Joe with the banger shorts right there, and you can see still very much so sellers are in charge with those lower highs and maybe lower lows now. Wasn't really making lower lows earlier, but bigger picture still showing some solid strength as AMD steps up, and this is just a consolidation that's stepping up a little bit higher on the higher time frame. You can see that when we go up to a 3-hour chart right here, take that VWAP off, take some of those indicators off, and you can see the price action a little bit more clearly as, again, this thing has continued to be strong since that April low, a sentiment we're seeing amongst a lot of these stocks, again, following in step with the market, Neil. So again, Citigroup, oh boy, remember this one? I was looking for the long, man. I was looking for the long off of the open. Guess what? It does come in. It does come, what? No, because I just looked up here and I was like, oh, trending pretty aggressively, just got a bid.
I legitimately had this chart up to talk about it next.
Okay, all right, you can go for it.
No.
I know, the confluence. I literally looked over.
What a coincidence. Sometimes it's like we're living in a simulation.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, if you didn't, we can talk about simulation theory. I am a very strong believer of simulation theory. But again,
well, that's a probability.
Even if, exactly, the probabilities kind of speak for themselves. But even if we were living in the simulation, what's the difference, right? You still got to live your life and be the best that you can. But it's fun. It's a fun topic to talk about for sure.
But yeah, Citigroup's super strong.
Citigroup is very strong. Yeah.
No, so well, look, what I was going to say, we're looking for when you're trying to play relative strength, relative weakness. Like I jumped over to SMCI, and then when the market went down, but Citigroup would be a perfect example. Reported, look, it was beats. They all beat, but they didn't all act the same. Right? When I say they, I'm talking about JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup. Wells Fargo was the weakest. JP was in the middle. Citigroup was the best. But they all had beats top bottom. The guidance was strong pretty much across the board. It came down like the conference call received probably really well in Citigroup's part. And you can sometimes, and we've talked about this before, sometimes you can look at a level and just know that somebody's a buyer. And it's a random price like 88.25. Buyer at the open at 88.25, buyer 10 minutes in, buyer a half an hour in, buyer in the middle of the day, and then there was a big shot up when something that got said in the call kind of got re-released or reiterated, and then it's just trend up from there. So it was buying off this level, and then all of a sudden you got a volume spike, then we just trend up. Citi is on the it's also a big breakout on the daily here for Citigroup. So good look for them. They're the one that stands out. Nothing against JP Morgan. JP Morgan's fine, but this is JP Morgan's chart. So they're in the middle, and then WFC, Wells Fargo, at least the last I had checked. Is it still true? Yeah. So you had great by Citigroup, kind of in the middle, JP Morgan, and then Wells Fargo taking it decidedly on the chin today. You're really going to have to sit this one out. Double top up there, and there goes Circle. I did tighten the stop. I don't see that execution.
Boy.
Yeah, see, it did help. So the execution I got was kind of as it was. My intention is move the stop to here so that I would get essentially that fill without slippage, and that stop goes an extra 50 pennies or so. So I might have saved myself like 20 cents. Not that it matters. The idea of this trade was not to try to scalp it for $1. I could have taken $1 on this trade, but that was never the plan. I wanted everything if I'm going to take this short. I feel as if, and this is my attitude towards Circle and CoreWeave, that maybe to more of an extent CoreWeave than Circle, but not too much, that when you get a chance, and this does do a real rollover, it's going to go. Like $5, $10 moves are the expectation, and bigger than that on a real breakdown can happen. And this is exactly the kind of catalyst. Like if they vote this down at 5 again, that would be absolutely nasty, I think. So I wanted to be on that side of the trade and look for the bigger opportunity. If you're scalping it, fine, fair enough. You could have taken $1 on that, but that was not my plan, so I'll call it a fail. But we'll have to see what happens overnight here. If they vote it down, I just don't think you're going to get shots in this price area at all. Like if it gets voted down again, Circle's breaking $180. And as I looked over, the other thing that was also going on was,
might not even come in.
Oh, I mean, we'll be gap past those levels in the morning. That's sort of the issue. Like, and then look at ETH.
If you're short, you're already there.
Right off VWAP ETH. I'm starting to like ETH. There's nothing wrong with this. This is very tradable. I don't know why we haven't. Like, I've looked at IBIT and I've traded IBIT, but I'm going to start every single day. I'm going to maybe put this one into the toolbox here because there's nothing wrong with the way it moves. A clean VWAP bounce, good reversion, just like anything else you'd normally do, or I would normally do. Here, good breakout trade, good reversion off the lows, stair step up, like it does, and it moves pretty nicely too. 20-something million in volume. Let's check that, 38 million in volume, so it's got plenty of volume here on ETHA. Trying to get more of SMCI if I can in front of that VWAP, as it's trying to bounce. I do like the bounce we're getting here. More news from Adara. Oh, goodness.
It's actually not related to crypto, guys. It has to do with TSLA. So if you follow the auto industry and any of these catalysts at all, especially Tesla, you might be familiar with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or the NHTSA. They frequently have been pretty critical of Tesla. There have been a lot of investigations launched, specifically with regards to the company's self-driving technology. With that in mind, it is worth noting, as of, I think, less than a week ago, Donald Trump announced that Jonathan Morrison had been named as his nomination to lead the agency. Now, it's worth noting, I guess he's previously worked for the National Highway Traffic and Safety Association, Jonathan Morrison, and he's not pro-Tesla. The reason I bring all of this up now is apparently he just submitted written testimony, which is, of course, part of the vetting process for these nominees, and he said in his written testimony, quote, regulators cannot sit back and wait for problems to arise with self-driving cars. So clearly very much a critic here of self-driving car technology and maybe FSD in particular. Be very aware here, TSLA dropping as it looks like Donald Trump's nominee to lead the NHTSA. Very critical of a lot of what TSLA does. I'm going to look more into Jonathan Morrison as an individual when I have time. But either way, interesting story here. Back to you.
Wow, Tesla dumping bye-bye 312.
Imagine you can say things and create discounts for yourself.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing,
right?
Isn't it? It's amazing.
It's amazing. You know, I mean, think about it. I mean, you know what? It is what it is. We were talking about this yesterday. You know, talking about manipulation and tactics and things like that. And again, if you don't believe that we live in a simulation, I don't know what more you need to see and hear is all I'm going to say. And if you watch and look at the market for long enough, oh boy, does the confluence for that theory just start to stack and stack and stack. Oh boy, I'm sure we can have conversations about that.
Oh, we could, but
like Tesla coming in real nice right there. Here, well, the best we can do is participate in what's happening, right? And what's happening right now is the selling is coming in pretty aggressively here on Tesla, as well as okay. So we just opened up the next 15-minute candle on these stocks just a couple minutes ago here. So we're getting that second 15 on this area of potential support here on the markets. So we can see again, like I've said before, a couple times, it's shown us that there has been a bit of a bid. Don't know if it's going to be there now. No, absolutely no idea. But trying this this trade on Apple here, it's getting a little wicky. But I've been churning some out, trying to be nimble. If it's not going to go, it's not going to go. That's perfectly fine as well. But again, with only about 40 minutes until the closing bell, I don't really see anything too crazy. Circle's working out nicely, but like I said, the reversion was definitely there back into the moving average. We did revert to somewhat of a mean here, and not really to VWAP just yet, but again, that may potentially very well be on the horizon. It's got to be a little bit patient for that one as well. I did take a little bit of a dabble on that pullback through 194s into 192s, and when that held, I was like, all right, cool. I'm again, this is not what I'm looking for. I definitely missed out on that trade. Shout out to Pug Life for calling me out on that one. Exactly, this is not the trade that you are looking for sure. And sometimes the market, the force, does kind of tell you that a little bit there. So a little bit of a push back into 195s, and Apple's coming back into these prior consolidation lows as well. Oh boy. Here we go. So next 40 minutes, no idea what's going on, but I want to know what you guys are trading. Someone's saying, who's that? Ronnie's saying, Obi's been watching too much sci-fi. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It's not
There's no
possible.
such thing. There's no such thing.
There's no such thing.
There's the stop out.
As well as not, it's also not possible to read too much science fiction. Just saying. Sure. I love science. Science fiction is awesome. It's to each their own. It's what you're into. I'm an Asimov guy, although Philip K. Dick is very, very impressive. I cannot wait until someone's going to make Rendezvous with Rama. It's going to happen. It needs to be a show or a movie. And when it happens, I'm going to be excited because there's a character in the Rama series, which to my estimation is one of the top 5 all-time sci-fi characters, and like makes Ripley look like nothing. Anyways. If you've ever read the Rama novels, you know.
I have not, yeah.
Which, fair enough. You take a shot at it. I think you'd enjoy it. If you like science fiction, Rendezvous with Rama, and then the subsequent novels are pretty good. But like this market is it's no longer bouncing the way I would like it. And one way I can tell this is, okay, strong stock here on SMCI, which I'm strongly considering reversing if it loses VWAP. But Micron, which I'm in, so this was, it bounces really nicely. I see it consolidate. I see them starting to buy it up. There's a nice higher low. And then at 120, it just gets held. Held the offer at 120 bucks. Held, and now you're dumping back in. So I think we got more legs to the downside, and we're going to retest some of these lows in the Nasdaq. I don't mind this because it's relatively strong, but the adjustment, I think I should have added, and I missed that chance on Micron as I was getting long into SMCI, but I'm definitely going to hold through this break of the low on Micron. I see NVIDIA just lost 170. That's all the more reason I should have added here at 120. But if we break this bottom, I think we could see some kind of a flush that gets us into this low of the day. Not looking good at all. And Tesla's story is obviously, Tesla's doing its own thing anyways, but now 2% to the downside. It's looking pretty sick here for Tesla. I hate this candle or this day on the daily because of what it means with this 50 and 200 period. It's just yet another failure up here. And at some point, you keep failing in this area on Tesla, and you're going back to 290, or maybe even worse than that. So yeah, not a very good day for Tesla as it continues to bleed. But maybe even we get a 300 test. Kind of a decidedly large gap if we lose 310. There's not that much time in the day, but if you lose 310, there's a pretty good gap into the 5, 6, and then even lower. It's not looking good for Tesla at all.
Yeah, what I'm looking at right now is Citigroup pushing for some fresh highs. So it's still continuing to go here. So I got to pull that one up. Oh, that is not here. Okay, yeah, so Circle's back above 195. We'll let that one kind of settle itself down. Maybe the trade coming in now at VWAP perhaps. So we'll kind of see if that shows up there. But Citigroup coming in to its day highs going into the close. So a very, very strong bank. Got stopped out of that Apple trade as it starts to break below some prior structures here. You can see the selling coming in. So I guess the short from here that I initially had was definitely the trade to be in. And again, a little bit of that 212 supply showing itself once again today here on Apple. So we'll wait for that one to come in. Oh boy, wow, 210s now, Neil. Are we going to take out the day low? Those are at 209.20s. Still $1 away. I don't know if Apple's going to move $1 in the next 30, 40 minutes, but within range.
Short.
91.79. Yeah, right. I had that too. You remember I had this push, and then I got involved with this one as well, the secondary one. Yeah. Okay. Say. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
I like that. That was really nice. Apple, yeah, that was a really, really good trend break.
Yep.
Why is my...
And it gave it to you a couple of times, right? Kind of showed you a couple of times, and it's just going.
It gives you here,
the bid, yeah.
even in there as well. But that's sort of the thing. Like have an idea what you want to do, so you can take it. Yeah, it's way better than Micron. You know, Micron gives you 50, 60 cents. You don't know you don't really know, but Apple gives you like $1.40. I mean, obviously it's a different price stock, but still better continuation on that Apple trade. And you're just looking for something to give you some juice. All right, NVIDIA's. Let me just go back over to Micron for a quick little second, because the Nasdaq again has just wicked the bottom and trying to hold. NVIDIA just did this at the 170, so it's bouncing off the 170. You sustain that move, of course, being in two chip names, I have to care, double bottom. So it might be time, if NVIDIA is going to do that, to maybe take the win on, yeah, it's 325, it makes sense. Take the out here. Why am I sitting on the bid? Let's just punch out. Why sit on the bid to get 2 extra cents when you should just punch out? So it's going to punch out on that double bottom, mostly because of the bid that's coming into NVIDIA and the market at the low of the day. You're getting a bit of a bottoming tail candle. So when that happens and you're at support on a trade which was entirely like it's a trend break, it's almost as if it was a trend into the volume weighted average price. Like you're working down, one bottom, two bottoms, other chip names are starting to bounce. The leader is starting to bounce. Let's just get the you-know-what out of Dodge. I see CoreWeave being mentioned by Marty G. That is a stock I have not looked at today at all. Oh, why? I wish the market... Well, no, I don't wish the market was still going down. But if it was, CoreWeave breaking this low looks juicy. Look at the 141 flat bottom break. JOBY. I'm just going to zoom out because you should always zoom out. If you haven't looked at the stock, what does it look like on a higher time frame? It's essentially just the opening range low. Yeah, I guess it doesn't look as good on the 15-minute, but it's still not bad. 141 down to 139. Pre-market lows, and then a bigger gap down to 36. CoreWeave up 7%. Of course, some of that's going to have to do with the gap up in NVIDIA, right? So all the chips go up, and then CoreWeave, which has a lot of people shorting it right now, gets a heavy, heavy bounce. So this is a stock you would have expected to be a little bit strong today because of the positive chip news, and that a lot of people have been hammering this to the short side, saying it's overvalued. So when it gets a day 2 bounce on a good catalyst, I'm a little surprised to see it sitting around those lows. That said, if it breaks, this is another stock, JOBY, that just feels as if it's looking for an excuse to make another leg down. Like this was $30 at issue, went 6x, and I don't know anyone that can value this properly. 23, I think it's 23 times. Their CapEx spend to their revenue annually is about 23x.
Yeah, no,
And the stock did this, and people wouldn't take profit? I don't know.
It's CoreWeave, the curl, the rollover on CoreWeave was quite nice as well, and I think some would argue that the circle one might have been a little bit better, but I think they were both kind of similar trades in a sense, where you had that initial aggressive euphoric move, and then you get that nice slow curl structures breaking down, and some anchored VWAPs definitely putting in some work throughout those moves as well. So yeah, it's great stuff there. We'll be right back from Madeira.
Next time to do a bit of a deep dive into Jonathan Morrison. Now, this is the individual who Donald Trump has nominated as the head of the National Highway Traffic Safety Association. As I mentioned, he did previously work for the agency from 2017 to 2021. But I also looked in, he's had quite the pedigree. We're talking roughly 12 previous years of experience in the, car regulation space, in addition to his 4 years as chief counsel at the NHTSA. He also worked at Apple, currently works at Apple, according to his LinkedIn, though his position is not specified. What is his history with Tesla and the NHTSA? Let's get into that. So, according to this Politico report, while he was chief counsel for the NHTSA back in 2018, he basically disagreed with Tesla's claim that the Model 3 had the lowest probability of injury. He said that actually that could be a misuse of federal safety data to make that claim. So pretty hardline stance there for sure. It's also interesting that this appointment comes as Donald Trump has very publicly disagreed with Elon Musk, his former ally. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens here. His confirmation hearing apparently is scheduled for next week. I will certainly be watching that with bated breath and covering it for you guys. But I did want to provide some insight on that previously mentioned story about the new, potentially the new head here of the NHTSA. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much there, Dara.
Fighting words right
there. These lows, man, there's no bounce coming. There is no bounce.
I'm hoping
going into the last 30 minutes, guys. Where's the bounce at? I have no idea. But there are certain stocks, like I said, that are pushing near their day highs. I'm watching this Citigroup.
It's your fault.
This is what?
When did that turn into a bear?
I turned it into a bear.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Told you the force speaks to me. That's
why the market's dropped.
Yeah, of course. Come on.
It's not, but
we've got to name our two quants here. You know, sometimes they're a little bullish, sometimes they're a little bearish. They can switch up, but they can sometimes be a little predictive, I would say. I have no idea.
No, not really.
Someone's saying, Obi, look at the VIX. Carney, yes, of course. The VIX might be a little bit more productive than these two, or predictive than these two over here. So let's take a quick look at the VIX and see what our friend has been up to. I haven't gotten any VIX alerts and since, I think, last week maybe. Yeah, let's take a quick look at what that's been up to. Let's go to the 15-minute. And yeah, the VIX is chilling at 17, so a little bit of consolidation here. So yeah, 17 VIX, not too bad. Seems just like yesterday, Neil. We were attempting to push these 20s all the way in June. So yeah, didn't really follow through, didn't really come in, but a little bit of a gap down and just grinding down. Again, the markets have been pushing highs, right? Markets have been pushing their all-time highs. A little bit of a sub 20 and a 15 hold on the VIX.
But back then, like, all our troubles were so far away, though.
Yeah, and then the weekly on the VIX, you can see. That's nice. I really like, you know, when the VIX starts going a little crazy like this, those are some crazy times. These are some good times. Right there. Yeah, especially for day trading. Volatility, again, it's a measure of volatility, and when things get volatile, the last kind of, I guess if you want to call it a volatility cycle, I did kind of learn a lot of things being like, okay, well, high volatility environments, how should I be sizing? How should I be looking for price action? You know, mean reversions might act a little bit differently. The certain strategies might act a little differently. Price action itself might have a few more nuances relative to the kind of market environment that it is trading in. The VIX is definitely a great indicator of kind of building that sort of perspective. So thank you, Carney, for pointing that out as well.
Was it? Oh, that was Mark. Oh, it's just Carney. For a second there, you're saying Carney, and I'm thinking of the Canadian Prime Minister, our Prime Minister here in Canada. No, it was just Carney in the chat. I was like, why are we talking about the Prime Minister all of a sudden? But but that is a great topic. The other thing, which I was just looking at, was the 10-year. We're back to 4.5, everybody. Well, okay, 4.49, but we're creeping up and head to that 4.5. You break that. Let me just maybe go to an hour. I guess 4? All right, that's better. I want to go to the better time frame. If you look at this nice channel we've been down on 10-year yield, like that 450 is kind of it's the shoulder on a bit of a head and shoulder in here, it seems as if. So hopefully we don't break that down, don't break that out. I think that would be a little bit dangerous. But okay, SMCI starting to go up here. The issue with SMCI, it's got lower highs all the way through, so we're about to go to a DARA. But I'm just going to point out, why am I offering there? Bang, bang. There is the trend line down, so I'm offering right in front of that trend line. The longer this goes on, the lower I would probably move that offer. So I'm looking for it to just press into these higher lows on SMCI on the bounce play. Let's go Adara.
Just so you guys know this, Pennsylvania Energy Summit, which Donald Trump is set to attend, has begun. The stream's been up for about 20 minutes right now. It's kind of people standing around listening to I Get Around by the Beach Boys, which is playing off of a speaker right now. We do have Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in attendance again. I think we're expecting crypto and AI czar David Sachs to be present as well. Same with, of course, President Donald Trump. I'm just letting you guys know this stream is now open. They're now playing the music that suggests Trump will be live. So I wanted to let you know things are progressing here. If Trump says anything of note, I, of course, will keep you all informed. And back to you for the last bit of Power Hour.
You know what?
Indeed.
For the record, Adara, I expected of you, knowing you're a hip hop fan, so they're listening to Beach Boys, I Get Around. It's like you should have said they need to be listening to Pac.
I mean, I saw like the Brian Wilson concert. That was my first concert, so I have mad respect for the Beach Boys. Like, I love my hip hop, but I love my classics too.
So, but if you had to, can we stay with Adara for a second? Because I have to ask you the question. But which song, which I Get Around do you like better? Beach Boys or Pac?
It's funny because I've thought of both, but I think I think in my brain when I hear the title, I automatically think of the Beach Boys one. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay, I appreciate the honesty.
Weird answer, but that's my truth.
That's fair.
She's got a core memory that's, really, that makes a lot of sense.
But for anyone that doesn't know, Adara knows, trust me, she knows her hip hop, like legit. On point. He's got bars too, by the way. Sometimes in the mornings, like we're doing like Sharif will be in here, I'll be in here. It's nice and early, and Adara's making the watch list, and she'll be like, she'll run some tunes on, and it's only a few of us around there. We should get a mic on her every now and then. Rest in peace.
I mean, you guys have to have an epic freestyle battle.
I don't freestyle.
Epic rap battles of Trader TV.
There were songs that I know, and I don't mind. Like every now and then, I'll just slip into a verse. What is Apple doing? Falling.
That was the short. Oh my God.
Yeah, this SMCI is not.
It's coming into that 209. I was just like, all right. And somebody in the chat was thanking us because they got 0 DTEs on the queue. So shout out to you for that. Nice trade on that one there. Market's coming in real hot. Apple coming into its day lows. Where might that be, you may ask? 208.93. So, oh boy, one of the only trades that I didn't hold effectively today was this Apple short. Twice, it kind of showed us that 212, 211, what have you, may have a little bit of supply, and the trade does come in pretty nicely. And sure, I don't know that it's going to quadunk all the way down to day low, but guess what? A little bit of a continuation maybe happening here on top of VWAP, because yeah, I was like, if this doesn't go, the reason why I'm stopping out here is a great reason to engage on the short as well, because again, if the probabilities for how I'm thinking is, okay, I'm getting along here on top of VWAP, but the probability of the price going higher is probably not even, preferable if we get back below this level, and that's such a strong enough reason that, yeah, that's probably a reason to get, a reason to sell, a reason to buy. That is definitely a reason to sell, whether you're long or short. I think that's a good way to simplify it, and that's how I like to simplify it. Just boil it down to basics. What are your reasons to buy? What are your reasons to sell? And then you can effectively kind of, regardless of whether you're in position or not, maybe make some potential decisions around those price action moves.
No questions asked. And speaking of price action, one of the best ways to find quality price action or levels or test trades out is going to be with a professional charting platform. With reliable market data, eSignal is going to give you all that. And on top of that, first month is still free over at eSignal, everybody. It's highly intuitive. It's really easy to use. You can trade through eSignal with multiple brokers. You trade directly. You'll have you can get level 2 access if you want the entitlements for it. If you just want to look at charts and technicals, you can do that. If you just want to look at the Nasdaq, you can do that. If you want to add futures, you can do that as well. So pretty much everything is at your fingertips. As I said, it's very reliable, and it's an intuitive platform, which is not that difficult to figure out. So first month free over there at eSignal. Execute your best trades and give it a shot now. Check out and scan the QR code you see in front of you, link also in the description. And I love this chart of AMD on the weekly. Man, it looks good. But the market right now will be not looking good. And as that was happening, I exited stage left. It's like just the sellers on SMCI came right in at this lower high at 53.5, which also happens to be the opening range high. The last time I shorted it off the 53 area, this bounce, there were sellers there as well the first time, so they're jumping right back in. So I guess if you're looking long, scalp and get out, and then work for the next trade, because I'm not really seeing anything. The follow-through just wasn't there to work that trend line. Monty and Bobo, Amazon, interesting. As the market's at the low, Amazon just randomly gliding higher here. Very, very.
Amazon, yeah, that sideways consolidation is pretty wild.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like what?
It's just the market's dropping.
Amazon.
Even the Nasdaq's consolidated. Right?
Look at Amazon. I like. Look, this is a good look on Amazon today. This just feels as if it's doing a small move up, waiting for something a little bit bigger to get in the highs. Like it's just itching. Like this is your consolidation at the top here in Amazon. We got the dips, kind of broke out. Now it's just consolidating off this top after getting through 225, and you're just waiting for that moment where you get the real day that we can push into the mid 235 to 240 range. Amazon's the next one to get, the next Mag 7 to get to its high. It's really, really slow. Part of this has to do with the market being slow. The response, when we were getting, I've said this before, but we'll say it again for all the new viewers, one of the most interesting things you can look for in the market is how a stock reacts to bad news. When the early prime day numbers were coming out, every single dip, the stock was getting bought up. Every time. Buy it up. And it was like the first hours are bad, bought right back up. The first day was bad, bought right back up. So that's always a good sign when they're willing to do that. And it's interesting, the midday guys were talking about this, like why doesn't Alphabet, with like 12 to 13% of their revenue being cloud and like so much being in search, like why don't they get a pass for only having a small portion of the revenue being cloud, which is growing fantastically, when everyone loves AWS and it's under 20% of Amazon's revenue. It's like 18% or something like that. So I don't know the answer to that question. I think they're both good. I like Amazon a touch better than Alphabet. And we could go into the reasons why. I don't know how much it matters at this particular moment, but yeah, not sure why it's relatively strong here. I'd look out for an imbalance on this just in case. Maybe someone knows a little something, and at 350, we'll see a number next to Amazon. I'm going to have Amazon up just in case we've got like an early buy program. What do we have here? BAC, early look buy of 1.3 million, and that's it. These won't show up for Nasdaq till 350, but I'm certainly going to have Amazon up just in case.
Yeah, no, again, when you brought up that BAC, the question came to mind. I'm like, I know it's earnings season, so what's on the horizon as of right now? So we will see what earnings are coming up right after we get back from Madeira.
Interesting note here for CLBR. This is Colombier Acquisition Corp. and the company they are acquiring once their special purpose acquisition here comes to an end is Grab-A-Gun. Well, Grab-A-Gun has announced that apparently Donald Trump Jr. is going to join the company's board and also apparently ring the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. So I guess when these companies combine, not only will DJ TJ, as he's sometimes called, join the board of the company, but apparently he will be ringing the opening bell with Grab-A-Gun, as far as I can tell based on this announcement. Back to you.
Thank you very much.
Your alarm.
Yes, of course. I got to hear the weekend being like, it's time, get ready. So it's almost time for imbalances. That's what it is. So we're going to go through some of the earnings for tomorrow. So today, Tuesday open, we had JPM, Citi, Wells Fargo. We also had BlackRock, State Street, and a few other names as well. And tonight, let's see, anything interesting that stands out to me? Maybe JB Hunt, I don't know. But tomorrow, BAC, it's on the imbalance right there. BAC, a little bit of a downtrend happening, pre-market volume as well, going into earnings. That's going to be coming out tomorrow before the open. ASML as well. You can see nice little consolidation building up into it. A little too pricey for me, but we'll see. We'll see if it kind of does what I'm looking for. Goldman Sachs, definitely going to be watching that one. I think I did trade it last time, last earnings as well. I got to go back and check my records on that one. Again, some of these banks, really interesting trades when they do come out, but oh boy, I'm seeing one that I definitely do like. Morgan Stanley, hello. That's definitely going to be one that I'm watching for tomorrow as well. So yeah, out of those ones, UAL after hours yesterday, Alcoa as well after hours, Synovus maybe as well. But later on this week, we got TSM, we got Pepsi, we got Netflix after Thursday close. We got 3M and American Express on Friday. Of course, those are not all of the names. Those are ones that I'm just that are standing out to me. Interactive brokers as well, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and trust me, this is just the first innings of earnings season. So we've got a lot of names, and then when you start to get some of the big cap tech, that's where it gets really, really interesting. I'm going to say good luck to you, David Tretsiak. MP taking a put on, and also Google Translate can't keep up with the DARA Canadian to English. Beach Boys, Pet Sounds, Sloop, John B. I don't even. But no, I can't get past the DARA Canadian to English. I've always we all know that no one really ever understands how they sound. Like to me, I don't know what a Canadian accent sounds like. I just get what people say we say about a boot. I don't really know if I do. You guys tell me how bad my Canadian accent is. I don't think it is that bad, but I've heard it is. Nimrod as well. Hey guys, anything interesting you'd pick up for a swing at its current levels? By the way, have you seen the moves by Warrior Princess in the past week?
What was that?
Xena. The Xena stock. Why? What is that thing doing?
You mean?
Is it? I thought it was Z. What is the ticker on that Xena stock? Anyways, the first part of that question was, was there anything that you would pick up on a swing at these levels? Now, my first thought is it's kind of yes, but also a little bit no. Like I usually give a 3-day rule. Like when you have big news like this, I want things to settle down. But I kind of believe, specifically with AMD, from a risk to reward standpoint, now that it's broken the 150, like the channel break already happened, the 200 period already happened, but just like this in here off the 150 to break to the 170. Like that's about the serious answer is Amazon, but if I'm giving you something it probably might move a better percentage and move more than a couple of percent a day, I could throw out AMD, but I was just telling you why I believed Amazon was consolidating from here to the high. So like the real answer would be Amazon, but I feel like that's kind of boring. AMD, if you give it to that 150, that makes a little bit of sense. So those are the two, just for like a short term. I don't love a lot in this area at this time. To be honest, it's just when I look at that Amazon, the reaction that you got to the Prime news this week, the fact that it's a nice little stair step up, you can have relatively tight risk somewhere into this. The prior high is like 224.50, so whether you'd be stopping in the 224 range, it's a point and change risk, and you're looking to try to have this thing make a run into the highs. Yeah, there's a lot to like with Amazon. I would say AMD is probably a sexier play, giving it to 150. But either one of those, I think, are fine.
Yeah, no, I really like the story and the build up behind the Amazon, and I definitely agree with you. Compared to Google, I do think they have a lot more room to go. But then again, Google's a pretty solid powerhouse. But I think you made a good point of how their AWS is just a fraction of everything that they do, and I'm sure they have the infrastructure to kind of do some more interesting things as well. So I do like Amazon as well. Of course, the Mag 7 have been doing extremely well, right? In this, especially over the past couple of years. Xena saying Nimrod, Z-E-N-A. You
know why I get it mixed up? There was a stock. There was a stock called Xela. X-E-L-A.
Okay, yeah.
And so in my head, I always mix the two up. So I always think that Xena starts with an X, and I'm mixing up the other side. And the truth is, I don't know what these things do. Xena, you think it can go 50%? We got another super chat as well. From the Conqueror, and we'll get to that one in a second.
Wow,
I mean, technically, could it go another leg higher? Are we getting a little greedy here, Nimrod? It just doubled up, aren't we? Like fundamentally, this is a habitual line stepper. This stock, pump, dump, pump, dump, pump, dump. And Michael Noss said it best when he talked about these types of names last night, and I've always believed that when I traded penny stocks, especially when I swung them when I was younger, and to the extent that I still do it every now and then, maybe once every few years, I'll find something that's appealing. When you get the double up, ring the Reggie and let it fly. But if you get a double up on one of these and you're not ringing the register, like don't get too greedy unless you really know something about this company. But even then, I feel it's hard to get married to them. The Conqueror says, what do we think about UNH? Imbalances in about 1 minute. So thank you for the super chats, and thank you to the Conqueror. Every single time, and every time someone's asked about UNH, I've been not very nice about this consolidation that we're seeing. My disappointment with what's going on in the stock, anyone that bought this dip thinking you get a big relief rally, it's not that it's not going well for you because it went in the money a bit if you got this around the 280 level, which is sort of an obvious dip buy on the second day, but it cannot hold, and now it looks like it's breaking down. It went from boring, what's the catalyst that's going to make it break away, to after today, this doesn't look so good. And if we lose 290, there was just nothing has happened to make it go up. And if it loses 290, I don't know what keeps you wanting to be in that dip buy. Either you took something out when it gave you a small move, or maybe you just like it for the long term. I really don't like this anymore unless it makes a miraculous bounce off the 290 level. Hate the price action today, losing the 300. Yeah, it doesn't look very good. It was very disappointing because I know a lot of people were in this buy, and it was okay. It gave you a few points in there, and great if you had it as a day trade, as a short-term swing, but it didn't do anything remotely filling in the first gap, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I'm watching this Apple here as well, coming back down into lows. So it's coming in real hot. Here are those imbalances. So can we see anything? NVIDIA with a little bit of a buy imbalance here as well. Apple kind of knocking into its current lows currently as well. So let's see what that'll have in store for us. But yeah, nothing else too crazy going on here. I don't know. Do you see anything, Neil? Let me take a quick look.
The banks are kind of okay, but
where is my window for the other basket? Here we go, right there. So
nothing really that big. You got
nothing moved.
BAC's 1.9, but that's
I'm watching Apple
$46 stock. Pfizer 1.5, WFC 1.4. The overall market's only 500 million to buy. 560 to buy on the market, 305 million to buy on the Nasdaq, Dow 170. Mag 7, 150. You want those, big imbalances be in the billions to rally us off these lows. You'd want to see you'd want to see NVIDIA 4 or 5 million. You'd want to see Apple somewhere on the list. Over 1 million shares, it's just a couple of banks and NVIDIA, and that's not really going to move the needle. NVIDIA didn't really even do anything there. If you look at the Qs, we've got a decent bounce off the lows here, but it's hard to sustain. We're not really sustaining this if we're not going to get a big imbalance. We always talk about how important it is that close when you get a bit of a day like this, and you'd like to see some relief rally buying. Remember, we started today with good news. We started today with the gap up in NVIDIA because they're going to be selling that H20 to China after all. That was the story. And of course, that would mean a positive, I guess, momentum towards a deal an overall trade deal between China and the US. That would bring everything up. I mean, heck, even Alibaba and the Chinese names were looking very good. If you had told me in the morning that after that news, ES and the Nasdaq would be at the lows and Alibaba would be up 8% up at the highs, I'd have told you you're crazy. I wouldn't have thought that you would sustain the strength in Alibaba. Leader 42, 42 is in your name, so I'll answer your question. No, I'd answer it anyway. What do I think about Netflix earnings this week? I love Netflix. One of the best decisions I made, I don't remember the exact date that I did it, I have to go back and check, it was a while back, was when I decided if I like Netflix and I like them a lot, then why do I continue to hold the Disney shares? And a while back, I moved my Disney shares, which I'd held for a long time, into Netflix, and it did very, very well. I'm a little skeptical of what's going to happen here. They've hitting all cylinders, gave you 50% from the 200-period moving average. They've been producing well. Look, the ad tier is going very well. I'm sure Squid Game was a hit. Stranger Things, I'm pretty sure the next season is going to be coming out, and that's probably going to be a hit too. It just feels like when the tech names started to rally again, this caught like the other tech names, the Mag 7, this started to maybe have some rotation out of it. This is our tariff, it should be tariff-free. There's no tariff risk in the stock. So when the market rallied to highs, despite the fact that we're not really through all this tariff stuff, it's almost like Netflix ran out of steam for that reason. I don't wonder if that safe haven thing was driving a lot of the push, and maybe it needs to at least make a real test of the 50 period. So I'm not overly optimistic. I certainly wouldn't be buying it before earnings here. Like I'd be very, very patient with this. I think I'm holding on to. I'm not selling anything, but I'm certainly not a buyer of this unless I get some kind of a drastic dip or there's a sentiment change in terms of what the overall market is doing. Like I'm leaning towards Amazon, the Amazons of the world breaking back to their highs, as opposed to Netflix, at least in the short run.
Yeah. So guys, listen up.
What do you got?
Are we okay? So I don't think that's the right one. Okay, so Trade the Pool. With Trade the Pool's swing trading programs, you can get access to up to $40,000 in buying power to trade real shares and not CFDs. You can hold positions overnight, over the weekend, and enjoy limited risk thanks to a one-time evaluation fee. No monthly payments, no hidden costs. Take Vincent J, for example, one of the Trade the Pool's swing traders. He's already locked in $23,000 in profits. His top performer, NMAX. He shorted it from April 20th to May 30th and pulled in a $6,777 gain. Trade the Pool is giving swing traders the tools, the time, and the capital to thrive. Scan the QR code and enjoy 10% off today. AMD with a little bit of a bid. I heard you guys in the chat and you guys were calling out, oh, AMD is going. And I was like, all right, let me pull that one up and see what's actually happening here. AMD with a little bit of a bid. Don't really see it on these imbalances here, but NVIDIA as well with a little bit of a buy coming in. So that bid on AMD, we talked about that, a little bit of a strength. Okay, I did not want to do that. I'm going to delete that line right there. But a little bit of strength on the higher time frame and coming in with a little bit of a bid going into the close as well. So should be interesting. Maybe it'll have something in store for us tomorrow. But yeah, I didn't see anything too crazy on these imbalances. BAC is there. NVIDIA is there at the high of the Nasdaq one. And I don't really see anything else that's too crazy, Neil. I see you got... tacos. That's from Gus.
For everybody in the chat watching the stream right now, Ramin just sent this to me. I want you guys all to check this out. Remember we had the tacos? And shout out to Gus. We've got a new post here. It's Taco Tuesday, everybody. And shout out to Gus. Those tacos were absolutely delicious. So you got them like Sean, myself, a little Donald Trump. And make sure you listen to it as well. Look, Ramin is doing yeoman's work on our social media content. It should be pinned. She did say the link is pinned in the chat, so you should be able to find it there up at the top. So there's the chat. Can we come to my screen again? It's linked. It's pinned to the chat. Make sure you guys give this a listen after we're done here. I'll probably listen to it 1,000,000 times on the train. And the hot sauce was legit at Gus's too.
That was so.
See, even the president likes tacos. Of
course. I mean, we know that already.
At the end of the day, you know, there's certain things that we can all agree on. We all want our children to have a better life than we had. We all love our families. We all want to be good neighbors. Most people in the world are good. I don't care what anybody tells you. We can all agree that tacos on a Tuesday is just the right way to go. They're absolutely delicious. We can all agree that the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the NFL. We can all agree that pineapple does not belong on pizza. And those are the kind of things that bring us together, Obi. And as long as we can agree on these types of things, I think we'll be absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
Yeah, sure. I really don't know what to...
with one of those things, Obi?
I mean, I like pineapple on my pizza. It's not too bad. I mean, it really depends on the kind of pizza that you're trying to eat. But this market is crashing to the
downside. Try not to look at the market.
As of right now. I'm just looking at Apple and I'm like, oh boy, this thing is going for day low, and I really liked the short at 211s, and I didn't get involved. I'm like watching this. I'm like, okay, well, if you liked it here and you missed it, and you were like, yeah, this is a very strong reason to sell, and I got out of the long. Guess what? Re-engage. Maybe look for that continuation. I don't know, but I'm really kind of thinking about whether that's actually, am I chasing the move, or am I just trying to get with the current trend, or am I just getting FOMO because I didn't hold on to what I thought was a much better entry here. There comes some aggressive selling as we reach into the last 2 minutes of the trading day here. Apple coming into that 209s. I was like, oh boy, I don't know if it's going to get to 209s by the end of the day. And I was like, within 40 minutes to an hour. And guess what? proven me, I guess, wrong or giving me a little bit of a surprise here because I was like, yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. But guess what? I definitely didn't know because it did happen. 209.20 is this consolidation from the opening session coming in. Again, day low, where is that sitting at? I got day low sitting at 208.93, currently trading at 209.20, so not that far away, only about 30 pennies away on Apple, and that's just, I'm pretty sure that's less than 10% of its ATR. So can we do that within 2 minutes? Sure, well within range. But again,
we can.
The next trade for me is definitely going to be tomorrow. Maybe, perhaps, we'll see. But yeah, a lot of opportunities in this market today, Neil. Great trading great trading opportunities is what I'm trying to say. Great trading. I don't know about myself. I know you had a banger trade, some solid executions. I got to put in a lot of work.
Well, what I'm excited the most for today, to be honest, like there's lots of opportunities today, but traded ETH for the first time. I didn't dislike the way that it moved. So from now on, I won't only look at Bitcoin and IBIT. I'll be looking at IBIT and ETH anytime I'm looking at crypto to trade it directly. ETHA was perfectly fine to execute on. Look, we only have about 15 seconds to go. The market is breaking down, and we're making some fresh lows as we speak. So as we get into the closing bell, can't come fast enough the way this market's falling good. Let's end the day so the bleeding can stop. But it's really flat on the day as we ring this closing bell, Adara.
Oh boy.
Well, that's the thing. With all the doom and gloom, everybody, the Nasdaq is up 0.08%. Okay, well, it trended down the entire day. Closing prices are deceiving as to what the market actually did. We've said this before. It is very, very true. No, what a bleed we actually had. Yeah. Pretty much just gapped up and then slow trend down on the Qs and maybe a bigger trend down on the S&P futures as well. So not the best day after we had that positivity from NVIDIA. I want to give a big shout out, of course, not just to all of our viewers on the super chats that we got, to Obi for filling in for Sean this week. And on top of that, you're about to get a treat. Joe and Adara are going to be at the desk. I'm going to get to you, Fabian. Joe and Adara are going to be at the desk because Joe's filling in for me on the market recap so I can coach my daughter's baseball tonight. So thank you, Joe, for doing that. But Fabian, Andre, Ramin, first off, if I had to thank you, Fabian, I love this key.
Thank you very much, Dara.
Thanks for getting us that key so I can use it as much as I want. And thank you to, of course, Ramin for that awesome video put out for the tacos. But you know what? We had bank earnings. Now we have to go through all the crazy market action that we had today, whether it was the crypto news, the vote that's still going to happen potentially again after market tonight. Whether it's looking forward to earnings that are happening the rest of the week or what the trade might be tomorrow, you got it all covered and you don't have to go anywhere because the market recap show with Joe, I wanted to give it a name, with Joey Options and Adara starts right about now. Joe Dara? Does that work? Joe Dara? Go get him. No, you don't like Joe Dara?
It's a name. Thank you guys so much for being here with us tonight. I'm here with Joe. We're going to be here with Brian Shannon pretty soon as well at 4:15 p.m. We do have earnings coming through from JB Hunt, expecting earnings of $1.34 per share, revenue of $2.94 billion. What a day today it was, Joe.
What a fantastic day there. There's no questioning that. There was a lot of moves. We had a lot of bank earnings this morning as well, too. So we'll be touching on that very interesting stuff. And then, as you just mentioned, we got JB Hunt this evening, so we'll be keeping an eye out on this one for sure.
Yeah, it's certainly something we're going to be watching out for. We have people mentioning that Tesla apparently bleeding. I'll pull this up. We did have, coming into the end of the day, apparently Jonathan Morrison, who is Donald Trump's pick to lead the National Highway Traffic Safety Association, his written testimony for this position apparently not very glowing at all for these self-driving technologies. He said that regulators shouldn't have to just wait around for something to go wrong with these technologies. He's also very anti-Tesla. So I think that confirmation hearing, which I think is supposed to be next week, could be pretty interesting for TSLA.
Absolutely. So another headwind here for Tesla just with that news, guys. So a lot of stuff going on with this name. And this is what we talk about from a technical standpoint, is that you're... Pardon me?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, okay, the show is brought to you by Beta Pro. Thank you very much for that, Fabian. But no, back to Tesla. We see, guys, from a daily standpoint, this is not a very, very good look just yet. A lot of regulatory factors coming into play with this FSD. So we need to take into consideration, until we start to expand the robo-taxi, I'm going to expect to see the same headwinds that we have been experiencing for sure, Adara.
Well, yeah, I think also just the fact that Donald Trump would nominate someone who is very anti-Tesla, who has a history of being anti-Tesla as well with his prior role for the NHTSA. I think it's another interesting little 1-2 jab here from President Donald Trump at his former ally, Elon Musk. Interesting stuff. Speaking of which, Trump is speaking at this Pennsylvania Energy Summit. Nothing really worth discussing here. I'll let you guys know he is speaking. If there's anything market related, of course, I'll let you know. But honestly, I don't even think I've done one call to talk about him since he's taken the page, or sorry, taken the stage. So I will let you know if anything changes there. JB Hunt in just 1 minute. Yeah, guys, let us know what you're looking at in the chat today, because we want to make sure we're covering everything you guys were looking at. I think NVIDIA and AMD were certainly some tickers worth discussing. We know that NVIDIA and AMD both gapping up here. NVDA, especially after Jensen Huang, he's going to be doing that press conference in Beijing tomorrow. He's really trying to push, and he has been trying to push the U.S. government to allow him and his company to send these more advanced AI chips to China. Now, what's interesting, too, is we had a couple different members of the U.S. administration, including crypto and AI czar David Sachs and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. They both basically said, I mean, it's good to have some chips coming in China from the U.S., but we can't give them our best chips. So I'm really curious to see how Jensen and co are going to be able to navigate that as we await JBHT earnings in just any second now.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, fantastic stuff, Adara. How was your trading day? Did you take anything else other than that one bank trade that you had this morning?
Yeah, I had coin. Well, I honestly, we talk a lot here about the combination of luck and putting yourself in the right place. There's a way of wording it that I'm forgetting, but the phrase, putting yourself in the position to be lucky, I guess. So I was short both Coinbase and Eli Lilly, both around 1:30 p.m. They both had negative catalysts. Of course, Coinbase with that crypto-wide drop, and then Eli Lilly on this report from Barron's that apparently there's a Chinese company with a competitive weight loss drug. So I was able to benefit off both of those shorts just from being in the right place at the right time. Yeah, I know you were in that AMD short this morning.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my better trades on the morning. I did take a couple attempts on NVDA for the continuation and strength, but we just didn't experience that. And you can see, sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the chart. We're going to pull up the technicals here momentarily on AMD, because I think it's really important to know.
We have JBHT
Okay,
earnings.
there we go. Let's report on JBHT.
Yeah, so they actually missed here earnings per share and sales 1.31, so $1.31 per share here versus estimates of $1.33. Sales coming in here at $2.928 billion versus $2.932 billion expected. The estimates that I give at the start of the day are sometimes a little bit different than the ones Benzinga gives, so I usually use the ones that are generally being used. Right now, though, it does look like JB Hunt with a double miss. Right now, if there's anything else from this report, I'll let you know. I'm not even seeing the report yet on Benzinga. This is the only headline I'm seeing. So if things change, I will let you know. I want to take a look here at GPN as well. This is not Groupon. This is a company called Global Payments. They had a bit of a spike here. Elliott Management, of course, an activist investor, they're building a stake in Global Payments in the wake of their WorldPay deal. So keep an eye here on GPN. That's reported by the Financial Times.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. All right, so we're going to pull up JBHT here, guys. That's JB Hunt. And you can see we have a definitive neckline right around this this 149 level. So if that cracks and holds, then look for some more potential downside. You know what? I'm going to actually pull up the expected move. Did you have that on JBHT?
Yes, I did have it on my
notes. Which was roughly approximately
5.7%.
5.7%. So right now you can see we're within that. So you've got to keep an eye on it, especially if you're trading this name via options. If you don't exceed that, you're obviously going to run into some troubles with volatility decay. So always keep that in mind here, guys. Just have everything in focus, be prepared, and always have a worst case scenario plan, because what we're seeing right now and what is being displayed, I don't think that JB Hunt is going to beat that expected move, but anything can happen on the earnings call.
Indeed, they can, and certainly we're going to keep you apprised of any updates there. Again, right now, Trump has stopped talking. We now have an individual from Pennsylvania by the name of Dave McCormack speaking. JB Hunt, I want to take a look at the daily chart, actually, and see what that's doing on that time frame, because it's something that we do on this show when it comes to these, especially these earnings plays, if you want to take a bit of a dropout. Now, JB Hunt, I would actually argue, is in a little bit of an uptrend from these lows. These are the, looks like around the Liberation Day lows. I think this might be around April 2nd there, so nice push to the upside. Now, the top line of this uptrend is a little bit more unclear. We'll make these kind of outsized pops into 152s, then it will kind of come back down, make a lower high, then we'll make a higher high. I think this 152 level, 153 level, should we come back there and hold that steadily tomorrow? I think that could be a good look. But either way, we've made a really nice base here on JB Hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk a little bit about JPM here because they did miss on net interest revenue there. So that was a slight miss, and you can see that displayed in the price action, but they also beat on EPS and revenue. But Jamie Dimon finally starting to back stablecoins and crypto, allowing his bank to have some holdings there.
I mean, back is a strong word. He basically said, I don't like them and I don't agree with them, but people want them, so we'll let them have them. It was more or less, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but that's basically what Jamie Dimon said. It's interesting too, Citigroup today, during their call, they said that they're actually also considering issuing a stable coin, and Citigroup, additionally here, this pop, yeah, it was this pop here, came as we did have the company saying that they're going to be doing $4 billion worth of buybacks this quarter. So interesting look here for Citigroup, the other bank as well. This is the one that I was involved in today, Wells Fargo. I was involved in JPM as well, but pretty choppy. Wells Fargo was interesting. They did, I would say, probably closest to JPM in terms of what they actually reported. JPM, Wells Fargo, Citigroup all reporting these double beats, but Wells Fargo and JPM CEO is a little bit more cautious with the outlook, whereas Citigroup CEO was very optimistic, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. We know Jamie Dimon is still cautious about all this tariff talk that we've been going through as of lately, and rightfully so, because I don't think the full effects of these tariffs have been implemented yet, as Donald Trump is still striking deals across the board. So a lot of countries to go through, and I think that's going to have an impact on some of these bank stocks for sure.
Yeah, I think also the nature of these deals is going to be really interesting because you know that Donald Trump has said himself that the tariff letter is the deal, and he doesn't know why people keep talking about deals because I guess if you've gotten a letter, that is the deal. It's a little bit confusing. I think we'll probably get more insight on these the more deals we actually see struck. But today he did announce a deal with Indonesia. So through this deal, it's a really, really kind of mind-boggling one. Basically, Indonesia will pay 19% tariffs on U.S. goods, but the U.S. will pay 0% tariffs on Indonesian goods. So kind of an interesting little deal there. I'm going to get us set up so that we can see Brian Shannon when he comes on, and we're really excited to have him. Of course, Alpha Trends in about 5 minutes. But yeah, I mean, what other stocks were you kind of looking at for today, Joe? Is there anything else you're looking at?
Yeah, well, I mean, you had to keep an eye on Bitcoin, right? We had this massive gap up, and then we had that inverted candle here. Let me pull it up on our chart so we can see. So we'll go to a daily standpoint, and it's not displayed as clearly as if you were to go to spot Bitcoin ETF, but you can see this overextension. We go from that about approximately 110,000 mark to 123.5, and then it prints an inverted hammer candle. Now, just from a technical standpoint, you know that this can be a climax of the price, and you want to keep an eye out on those things. So when we're trading them, just listen to what the technicals are telling you, and you can see that we've already experienced a pullback from that 123,000 all-time high, and then there might be even some more downside. If we were going to look at this from a spot ETF perspective, that is going to be IBIT, there is still some downside gaps to be filled, so I'm going to be keeping my eye out for these gaps to be potentially filled, and then any indecision around that realm to see if we can get a continuation in the strength, because we know that we're starting to get mass adoptions through the institutions there.
I think one thing, though, as well, and I mentioned this on the show, I think part of why we're getting this pullback right now and why I'm actually not sure this pullback is going to go away right away is because a lot of this push up into new all-time highs has been attributed to these crypto week, right? So now the crypto week has been kind of a bust so far. They couldn't get the motion through because of the way they want to package the bills. It's all very semantic. Because of all of this, now, I think there's a little bit of a dampening in sentiment. I think that's why you get those massive drops that you saw on Circle, on Coinbase. I think, of course, there's still that excitement around these spaces. We talked about bank earnings. I think there's still mass adoption. But I think in terms of, we have to think about what catalyst pushed the stock to all-time highs. And in that case, it wasn't mass adoption so much as the idea that government regulations were going to be more, I guess, less prohibitive, for lack of a better term. We even had a meeting last week with Senate Banking Committee to that effect. We seemed like we were putting the pieces in motion. As of right now, that's slowed down. Market may be overreacting, but either way, reacting. And I think it certainly had a lot to give up, given that all-time high push.
And absolutely, way to point that out there. Fantastic stuff. And you can see that reflected in the price action. So we talked about the market always being forward-looking. So they're thinking about some positive catalysts coming out here during this crypto week. And that hasn't necessarily been the case. So the market has been baking those things, that price action back in.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's the thing. It's always hard to to try to determine why a stock is moving or what the catalyst is, because there are times where a couple different catalysts you're not quite sure, especially if it's something like a Mag 7 stock or crypto or the market in general. But I think when you think of the amount of times you've heard the words crypto week this week and last week, it's pretty easy to understand why this is the catalyst that would be unsettling to people. Furthermore, though, apparently Donald Trump, I was seeing on X from a Fox News reporter, apparently Trump actually calling people, asking why they didn't vote for the bill. He wants it packaged a certain way, apparently, versus, I guess he wants the Genius Act to be highlighted, that it's a stablecoin-related act. And I guess there's a little bit of a, as I mentioned, a discrepancy between how the bills should be packaged. We'll have to see if they can sort that out. They are going to do another vote on this, or reportedly going to do another vote on this at 5 p.m. Eastern, so that's in about 45 minutes from now. Of course, we will be gone, but we'll certainly cover that tomorrow. Also, thank you, Darwin, as well, for mentioning in the chat. PPI is coming tomorrow. So today's PPI was a total hodgepodge. We had some numbers that were in line with estimates, some that were hotter, some that were cooler. For PPI, I'm going to just check here on this calendar to see what we are expecting. We're expecting a little bit cooler here for PPI year over year. We're expecting a little bit hotter for PPI month over month. And then much cooler here for the core PPI year over year. We'll have to see how those numbers come out, but this seems a little, much like CPI, could get a little bit mixed.
Yeah, I mean, some mixed reviews, totally. I mean, I believe it was the year-over-year core inflation, a slight uptick in that from 2.6 to 2.7%. So, I mean, it's still in line. And this is what I talk about all the time. I don't think Jerome Powell wants to cut interest rates just yet because of the risk of reigniting inflation. And I think he has a good case for himself there.
Well, and we know a lot of these Fed speakers have spoken out in support of that. We had as well Fed's Collins today saying that they have to be actively patient, which I guess means reviewing data, being ready to act, but not being in a place where they have to. And they've also said that because of how they've managed inflation so far and the rates, they're in a place where they're able to wait. So rather than viewing it as being too late, they actually view it as being conservative and appropriate. So it's interesting. Perspective is interesting as well. And I want to add one more thing too, Joe. We know that there are two Fed speakers who've been really active about this July potential cut. That's Fed's Waller and Fed's Bowman. Now, if you were wondering if other Feds are expressing this opinion, based on the Fed meeting minutes, it seems like that is not the case, because the Fed's meeting minutes said basically a couple of speakers were interested potentially in that July cut. So a couple could literally mean the two speakers we've had. So it seems overwhelming, like we're going to get that September cut unless there's some crazy PPI data tomorrow.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. And we know that they have the dual mandate. It's going to be maximum employment and price stability with a 2% inflation goal. We're not there just yet. Year over year, guys, we are 2.7%. So one small slight uptick there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny, too. We even have right now the U.S. the Deputy Treasury Secretary commenting apparently that CPI is getting back to below the Fed target. So we know that we really have this administration trying to make sure that we get a cut. We're going to have to wait and see. We know the Fed is very independent. That's a huge part of its mandate. So I think we're going to have to see what they end up doing. It'll definitely be a bit of a wait and see game. But I think even more interesting will be what happens when we get that new Fed chair, and who will that individual be? Because now our friend Kevin Hassett, who is currently the National Economic Council leader, has been rapidly rising in the ranks. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Who's your bet for Fed chair?
Scott.
Really? Okay, I think he's probably my bottom choice.
You think he's the bottom choice? Who's your top choice?
Well, Hassett was my bottom choice, but Besson's quickly become my bottom choice. I mean, the White House out and out denied it's going to be him. So it's kind of what makes me think that.
So there you go. So it's definitely not going to be Scott.
I think it's Kevin. I honestly think it's going to be Kevin Warsh. Back in 2020, Trump said that he wished he had picked Kevin Warsh to lead the Fed. So yeah, I mean, what else could you really say? But we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. Once we get the all clear, we will have our friend Brian Shannon from Alpha Trends come right up on with us. Very exciting. But yeah, I mean, guys, let us know what tickers you're looking at. If you have any questions you want to ask Brian, so that we can get those out there for you. Because great guest, and we're very excited to have him on today for sure, Joe.
Absolutely. So yeah, whenever we're ready. JBHT though, guys, before we get into our guest this afternoon, we have now beat that expected move on JBHT to the downside, Adara. Negative 5.3% here on the session and continuing to climb lower.
Yeah, certainly lots of these moves there. I think JBHT could be one to watch tomorrow to be sure, in addition to these second-day earnings plays. But without further ado, let's bring in our friend, Brian Shannon from Alpha Trends. I do not have the Trader Talk button, so we'll just have him come right in here. How are you doing today, Brian? Thank you so much for being here with us. Oh,
there we go.
Nice.
Oh. There it is.
There we go. Now we're official.
How's it going? How's everything today?
Good day. Now, got a little bit sloppy there at the end. I think we're maybe starting to feel a little bit tired up here in these markets. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I totally agree with you. And we've seen a big, massive gap up in the likes of NVDA, a 10-point move on that H20 news. And I'm like, are we starting to get a little bit toppy considering off of those Liberation Day lows? NVDA is up over 90%. What do you think about that? Do you think we have somewhat reached the top here?
That's amazing. The semis have had a relentless bid. They seem to keep getting good news, and they're the driver of everything. So they hold up the best. Where I saw the bigger weakness, and I'm sure it didn't go unnoticed by you as well, is the Russell 2000. And every year, the last couple of years, we keep hearing the bond market is going to rally and rates are going to come down, but we're seeing just the opposite. And bonds are looking like they're probably headed for their lows. If we take a look at that TLT, they just look terrible here, and that, of course, is going to impact the Russell. We had a nice rally. It's now, the intermediate term trend, the higher highs and higher lows above that 5-day moving average was interrupted today. So game over in the intermediate term for the Russell 2000. Let them readjust and settle down.
Yeah, absolutely. The IWM being one of the stronger major averages over the past month, and with a potential rate cut looming, do you think that could add a little more fuel to the fire?
I don't think the bond market believes the rate cut is coming because the bond market keeps raising rates. We've got the TLT dropping, each of the last 10 days pretty much and closing on those April lows. So the bond market doesn't believe it. So, and Trump can whine about it all he wants, but it doesn't appear as though the market wants to accommodate him with lower rates yet.
Yeah.
Perfect stuff. So my guest here, my co-host there, Adara, has a question for you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much here for being on with us, Brian. I saw, and I've been watching here your posts on both Circle and CoreWeave with regards to their relationship to a VWAP. We know that we've talked, I know you and I have talked about Circle on this show before, but I guess with both Circle and CoreWeave, if you had to pick one here, what would be your pick? And if you're not interested in either, I guess, why are you watching those? And give us a bit of insight on these two right now.
Sure. I think that CoreWeave, it got a very nice bounce from the anchor off of this breakout right here. And that's what I was pointing to last week when it was right here. I said, keep an eye on that anchor. Now it's rallied up and it's heading into this prior band of support right here and the month-to-date anchor. So that one, I think if you're not involved, let it settle down a little bit. Circle has been really great off of its anchor from the IPO. That's the green one on this daily chart. We keep seeing it bounces off that. And what we've also noticed, though, is the anchor off the high has kept it capped pretty good here. Last week we spoke about this, I think, and now we're kind of in this range. So I think that I am more interested in Circle. If you can get back above here and push through this anchor, I think you're going to get a nice squeeze higher. But the key with a stock like this, with a ATR of 11%, is if it breaks back below this low from today, then we could see that if this IPO anchor doesn't hold, it could be lights out for Circle.
Yeah, a very solid point there. And I mean, that IPO VWAP anchor on CRCL is something I've certainly been watching as well. So thank you for talking about that. We have a question for you in the chat from Roadrunner asking about your thoughts on BBAI and MRVL. I guess, is there one of these that you're looking at right now, or any of them that you have any particular levels on that you like?
I like BBAI a little bit better. I mean, this is one that has, treated me well, and Sean, I know, trades it a lot, as does Neil. I think, though, you've got probably a couple days. We came right up to the anchor off of this high in the daily time frame. So on the right, we've got the 30-minute time frame. We came precisely to the anchor off of that high today. We came close to it here and hit it today. So what I'd really like to see in BBAI is maybe a pullback to the anchor off of this low. So tomorrow, maybe we pull back a little bit, rebuild, and then start to get going like this and set a stop below whatever this higher low might end up being. And then so I like that one. I'm keeping a very close eye on it. In fact, somewhat related, I guess, not really related, but similar, is RGTI. They kind of trade a little bit the same, and it's stuck in this range also. I'm thinking, give this another day or two, and RGTI could maybe get ready to get going again.
Yeah,
Perfect. Yeah, perfect stuff. One more question here, Brian. So
Yes.
we know that this AI hype train is just full steam ahead. Do you think in the near future that this is sustainable, or are we going to see in, say, the mid to near term, a slight rotation into some different sectors like the staples?
You know, I'd like for that to happen because a lot of these names, as you pointed out with NVIDIA, up 90% off the April low, that type of move is not sustainable. So it would be very healthy for these markets to pull back a little bit. And, you know, when I look at the Nasdaq, for instance, I mean, look at the velocity of this rally. Maybe we just even get a pullback to a trend line that looks like this. That would be a nice reset, you know, to pull back down into 540 or so. Today is going to be very important. I was pointing this out to subscribers earlier, is that if this ends up being a failed breakout today and we come back in here, then I think you're highly likely to come down and test that 20-day moving average, maybe this trend line. And by the time that happens, that 50-day moving average might end up and beat it. So I'm a little bit cautious here. I mean, I'm always cautious because risk management, but we've come pretty far pretty fast and we're starting to feel a little bit tired. So I think you got to just, you know, maybe ease off the gas a little bit up here.
No, I totally agree with you there, Brian. I don't think this move is sustainable. And again, we would like to see a nice, healthy pullback. And I think that can give us more opportunities to buy instead of chasing all the way up here.
Absolutely. That's the way I look at it. And, you know, the truth is, though, I've been, you know, thinking this can't be sustained for a couple of weeks now, but it does. So we've got to remember, as always, you know, trade what you see, not what you think. We want to look for evidence, but it doesn't, you know, just because we're cautious doesn't mean we're bearish. We've got to wait for things to break down before we come bearish. And then that's only on a shorter term time frame because we're still, I mean, you look at the weekly chart on, you know, the Nasdaq, we're in a huge uptrend. I mean, it's kind of foolish to be long-term bearish with a trend like that.
Absolutely. So we got one more question here for you there, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little bit here. I know you posted about Reddit and this one with that 20-day SMA support. Can you talk a little bit about this one and any other names that you're looking at potentially entering right now?
Yeah, Reddit, I haven't purchased yet. I said that on Twitter yesterday that I'm, you know, keeping an eye on it. What I really want to see here, Adara, this is good. We've got that 5-day moving average flattened out. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow a half-size position above today's high. We've still got the anchor off the high holding it back, but this is poised to get going. I think a stop could go under here. And last week, you were going to remember with your great memory, and I'm sure you did, that we spoke about DOCS.
Doximity,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, and Docs, you know, it gapped up the next day. As I think I told you, I was long right here. It gapped up the next day. I sold some into the gap, sold some more here, and then sold the balance here at basically break even. That's the thing with some of these stocks. They can just look so beautiful, but if you're not taking partial profits off into strength, you've got to be really careful with them. And I'm seeing that a lot more with some of these bigger names like ALAB, which, you know, continues to try to break out and then gets stuffed. APPS continues to try, APP rather, continues to try to break out and then just gets, you know, stuffed again here. So we've got some of these stocks, you know, not behaving the way we would expect them to when it's all cylinders firing. So to me, that's a little bit of a warning sign as well.
I mean, thank you so much for that, Brian. Yeah. Solid point. That app breakout I've been watching as well to potentially see how that shapes up. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect stuff. Thank you very much, Brian.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Trade idea? Okay, no.
Yeah, no, great stuff as always from Brian Shannon. So much appreciated, and he agreed with that. I've been saying this for some time. It's really rare to see kind of the move that we've been experiencing. Obviously, it's been a black swan event with the Liberation Day lows and everything along those lines. But this move, and I'm using NVDA as an example, 96% off of those lows and no significant pullback, in my opinion, is just not sustainable. And I would rather see something more healthy in the market.
I mean, the thing is, these technical analysts do always say, and I think for good reason, you have to focus sometimes on what you can't make the chart do what you think it should or what you think it wants to do, right? And I know from my experience as someone who literally learned how to trade and learned about markets live on this show in the midday, if you make these kind of assumptions, sometimes you're going to end up shooting yourself in the foot. Pardon my turn of phrase, right? So I think it's worth noting, just let the price action tell you what it wants to tell you. And I think that's the importance of, as Brian Shannon said there, making sure that you're taking profit when that opportunity shows up, but also making sure you're not changing your mind too early. Follow your plan, but also plan for these unexpected events, plan for these profit takers, have opportunities. Like, for example, when I was in that Coinbase short today, it dropped way further than I thought it was going to, and I didn't really have a plan for that type of approach, right? So as Michael Noss said yesterday in the recap, when these opportunities come up, just come up with new rules and get ready for the next day. But yeah, always exciting guests here on our Beta Pro by Global X market recap show.
Yeah, as always, Adair. But you're right. You have to listen to what the market is telling you. There's no questioning that. If we can pull up my chart here momentarily, you can see in the likes of the Nasdaq starting to sell a little bit in the post market. But I wanted to pull up our earnings report here one more time. And that's going to be JBHT because it is still continuing to move to the downside. And I want to see if we've had any form of a pullback or we're still going to exceed that expected move. And here we are still negative 5.5% on the session. And I mentioned this neckline here that I'm going to pull up on a higher time frame. And if we crack that, I would suspect more downside. And that was around that 148.70 level. And you can see we're now trading around 143 and change. There we go.
Yeah, that's pretty rough here on JB Hunt. I don't know if this one I'm going to be like hunting for an entry opportunity or anything, but it's certainly one that I'm going to be watching out for tomorrow along with these banks. And tomorrow morning for earnings, I'm actually going to give like a quick earnings preview for tomorrow because I think that's always worth noting. We're going to have ASML, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Progressive, and Johnson & Johnson. Which of those, if any, are you going to necessarily be watching tomorrow?
I'm going to be keeping an eye on the banks. I think more or less the Bank of America or Morgan Stanley. ASML, I know that's going to be in your price range. You're most definitely going to like that. But really, what we were just talking about, I think is really important. I can keep an eye on them, but if the price isn't giving me the setup, then I'm not going to be trading them whatsoever.
And I think that's super key. So I appreciate that. I think that's a great note to end on as well. So thank you guys so much for being here at our market recap show. I'll do the quick roll call as we always do. So drop those names in the chat. Thank you to the others. Thank you to Daniel B., Ron Miller, for profit. We're going to wait for some more names to come in as we thank our team. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Sharif. Thank you, Sean, Neil, Obi. We have Fabian, Ramin, Andre, Brendan, Mr. Thumbs Up, the Tranquil Channel, Jake Roberts, Snake. Pretty slow recap day today here. Not a ton of people in this chat. Charlie Taft, Ron Miller. But yeah, any names you're seeing here, Joe?
Yeah, I'm seeing Front Porch Trader. We like that one. We got Fedora the Explorer, Sean James, Donkey Trader, Lee Yi. Why not? One of my favorite. Because why not, right, Adair? Because that's how you got to go about the motto of life. Anna Trader, Treads 001, Michael Spedorfa, and Dane Juras. Thank you all very much, and I hope you all have a fantastic.
Thanks again to Brian Shannon. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Ciao, guys.
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.